Chapter 467. Hui Yuanbai knew that Long Yu was smart, but he couldn't get anything out of him. Thus, he didn't ask further and just ate and drank with the two. After the meal, Hui Yuanbai arranged a place for the two to stay, and Long Yu and Ren Pingfan took their leave. "What do you think, little brother Long? What do you think of General Hua?" Ren Pingfan asked Long Yu with a hint of admiration in his eyes. "A good general." Long Yu didn't say much, he just smiled and said, "Hee, that's not all. When I was born, General Hua was already the commander of the Nightmare Legion. That year, he slaughtered the invaders from the Ghost Evil County and killed tens of thousands of cultivators from the Ghost Evil County in the Nightmare Mountain Range. It seemed that the little fatty had a good impression of Hui Yuanbai. Hui Yuanbai should be a powerful general who was loyal to the Shura Prefecture. Otherwise, the Shura Prefecture king wouldn't have entrusted the important task of protecting the Nightmare Mountains to him. After parting with Hui Yuanbai, the night passed uneventfully. Early the next morning, a few Sky Realm cultivators came to arrange a place for Long Yu and Ren Pingfan. The two finally had to part. Before leaving, the little fatty pulled Long Yu's arm and said, "Little brother Long, after I take office, I'll send people to keep an eye on you. If there's any danger, I'll know very soon. Just try your best to hold on. Of course, there shouldn't be too much danger in the Nightmare Mountains. The people from the Ghost Prefecture seem to be very quiet recently." "All right, thank you, brother fatty," Long Yu said with a smile. He didn't call the other person by his name and just called him brother fatty. It was obvious that the little fatty liked to call him that. Ren Pingfan was taken away, so he naturally had to prepare to take up the position of guest advisor. Although it was just a title, he would still have some authority. It wouldn't be a problem to arrange 1 or 2 people to keep an eye on Long Yu. As for Long Yu, he was wearing a ghost face mask, following a celestial realm martial cultivator away from the mountain top. They flew in the Nightmare Mountain range for thousands of zhang before arriving at the foot of another mountain. Raising his head and looking at the mountain peak, Long Yu could feel that the mountain peak was faintly filled with even denser spiritual energy of the heavens and earth. At the top of the mountain peak, he could see quite a few martial cultivators digging for something. "Brother Hillghost, this is the sun mining area. According to the general's orders, I brought you here. Take the general's orders and go up the mountain to find the vulture mining team and join them," the guide said to Long Yu and handed an envelope to Long Yu. It was General Hui Yuanbai's handwritten order. "Thank you." Long Yu nodded at the man, then turned around and walked up the mountain peak. After that, the guide left on his own. As Long Yu walked up the mountain, he discovered that there were almost no paths on this mountain. Many of the miners had flown up, and every mining team had their own area of activity. They couldn't wander around randomly. Long Yu walked up the mountain. If they took the wrong path, they might face a conflict. Although they were all martial cultivators of Azura County, there would be differences of interests and conflicts wherever there were people. If they took the wrong path, there was a high chance that a fight would break out. Moreover, Hui Yuanbai's army would not care about such a fight. Every mining team only needed to hand over half of their harvest to the corps that Hui Yuanbai was in. As for the other half, they could use it for their own use or trade it for things they needed, such as pills, combat weapons, and so on. The sun mining area, moon mining area, and star mining area were all free mining areas. In other words, the miners here were all martial cultivators and adventurers from all over Azura County. As for the Nightmare Corps led by Hui Yuanbai, they naturally had their own mining area. Ordinary people were not qualified to enter. In the army's mining area, the things produced were naturally much better. However, recently, in the sun mining area that Long Yu had come to, there were quite a few good things produced. The value was not cheap, causing the number of Jianghu martial cultivators to increase by a lot. Of course, these new martial cultivators had to go through Hui Yuanbai's subordinate. Otherwise, if they were allowed to wander around freely, It would not be good for them to cause bloodshed everywhere. Although Hu Yuanbai did not stop the competition, he did not want vicious competition between martial cultivators. Long Yu took to the air with General Hu Yuanbai's handwritten decree in his hand. Soon, he arrived at a platform on the side of the mountain. At a glance, he could see many people sitting on the platform, resting and chatting with each other. As soon as they saw Long Yu flying toward the platform, the group looked at him warily. After all, Long Yu's intentions were unknown, and the most suspicious thing was that he was wearing a mask. Seeing that Long Yu was flying closer, the leader of the group, a burly man wearing a golden pendant, stood up and looked at Long Yu like a ruffian. "Where are you from? What are you doing here?" "My name is Shan Gui. The general arranged for me to come here," Long Yu said directly. "What did I hear? Haha, which general are you talking about?" The burly man laughed as if he had just heard a joke. "General Hua, of course." As he spoke, Long Yu landed in front of the burly man and sized him up. He realized that the burly man was a Tianhua realm martial cultivator with a strong aura. "Kid, do you know who we are? How dare you spout nonsense here?" Before the burly man could speak, a thin and sharp-tongued martial cultivator next to him said sarcastically, "You are only in the human tribulation realm. How could you possibly meet General Hua? Moreover, this is the sun mining area." The burly man then said in a deep voice, "Sir, maybe you have come to the wrong place." When he said this, the burly man's eyes flashed with hostility. Obviously, he did not welcome Long Yu at all. "See for yourself." Long Yu raised his hand and threw General Hu Yuanbai's handwritten decree out. The burly man was afraid that it might be some kind of hidden weapon. He carefully gathered his chi and caught the envelope. When he found that it was not a hidden weapon, he opened the envelope. With just a glance, the burly man's expression changed slightly. "General Hu really arranged for me to come here. What bad luck. There are too many good things these days. Even the trash of the human realm can come to the sun mining area?" The burly man cursed. "Mountain ghost, is it? Since the general personally arranged for you to come here, then follow our vulture squad. But let me tell you in advance, don't think that you can be lazy just because the general personally arranged for you. I will naturally do what I have to do." Long Yu said lightly and stepped forward, ready to rest for a while on the mountain platform. He looked around and found that there were a total of 15 people on the mountain platform, except for him. Without exception, they were all martial cultivators of the heaven realm. These 15 people were now resting on the mountain platform. Behind the platform, there was a mountain wall with a big hole dug out. It seemed that this was the place where the vulture squad mined. "Boy, is this the first time you have come to the Nightmare Mountains?" A rather kind-looking middle-aged man walked up to Long Yu with a smile and said, "Our team is about to start work. It just so happens that we are short of one person. Come in with us." "Okay." Long Yu thought for a moment and nodded. He didn't know how the ores were mined here, so it was necessary to follow a team. Since the middle-aged man looked kind, he would follow him. "Brothers, let's go." The middle-aged man turned around and called out. 4 people stood up with strange smiles on their faces and came to his side. Including Long Yu, there was a total of 6 people as they walked into the mine. "Brother, you are called Mountain Ghost? Why are you wearing a mask? Do you have any enemies?" The middle-aged man walked beside Long Yu, and as he walked, he chuckled and said, "You don't have to worry here. No one would dare to openly seek revenge under General Hua's command, unless there is a conflict over mining." Long Yu glanced at him. He felt that although the man was kind, his words seemed to be a little tentative. He became a little wary. Long Yu thought to himself that he was wearing a mask to prevent the spies in Azura Valley from spreading the news that he was still alive. It wasn't to prevent people from seeking revenge, however. He naturally couldn't tell this kind of person. "My name is Deng Yuan." The middle-aged man smiled and introduced himself. "Then," he said, "when you start work later, Remember to use your strongest strength. The mountains in the mining area are extremely hard. Even heavenly realm martial cultivators like us have to spend 70 to 80% of our strength to barely blast open the mountains and dig in bit by bit. It's really not a good thing that you have been assigned to the mining area. You might be busy for a few months without any result. Yes, I will try later. Long Yu nodded. Deng Yuan's words surprised Long Yu. He didn't expect the mountains to be so hard that even heavenly realm martial cultivators could barely blast open them. However, Long Yu wasn't worried that he wouldn't gain anything. After all, his true strength had definitely surpassed the human tribulation realm. He might even have reached the heavenly tribulation realm. If it was a life and death battle, even a heavenly tribulation realm expert might not be Long Yu's match. The spiritual energy in this mine is so thick. It seems that Shu Chan arranged for me to come here so that I can cultivate quickly. Long Yu sensed the aura in the mine. He felt that the spiritual energy in the mine was much thicker than the outside world. If he cultivated here all year round, his cultivation speed would increase by a lot. Unfortunately, the main purpose of most martial cultivators in the Nightmare Mountain Range wasn't to cultivate, but to mine and search for treasures. The entire mine was crooked. Most of the walls were made of hard boulders, but a small part of them had shining gray metal. The gray metal was harder than the boulders and had no value. Basically, one could give up on digging until the gray metal appeared. It was too difficult for a heavenly realm martial cultivator to blast open the gray metal. Okay, that's it. Let's get to work. The middle-aged man, Deng Yuani, raised his hand and gestured for everyone to stop here. Then, he pointed to a fork in the passage ahead. The fork led to a cave that had just been excavated. Their task was to extend this cave further and see if they could dig up any rare treasures along the way. Long Yu keenly noticed that when Deng Yuan glanced at him, there seemed to be some cunning hidden in his eyes. Chapter 468. Apart from Long Yu, the other 5 martial cultivators in the mine, including Deng Yuan, were all at the heavenly origin stage. The 5 of them used their own techniques and condensed the power of the laws of heaven and earth they had comprehended into a beam, which blasted at the fork in the cave ahead. Very soon, they drilled out several small holes. Long Yu could sense the strength of the 5 heavenly origin martial cultivators. Under normal circumstances, a casual blow from them would be able to blast a mountain apart. But now, only a few finger-sized holes had been blasted into the Nightmare Mountain Range's cavern. One could imagine what kind of existence the entire Nightmare Mountains was made up of. Everything in the world has different degrees of hardness. The material of the Nightmare Mountain Range is nothing. The material of my Dragon Skeleton Tower is the real deal. Only an Emperor Path secret stage expert can cause a crack to appear on it. As Long Yu thought to himself, he displayed the power of the Law of Moon he had comprehended and tried to condense it into a beam, which he blasted at the wall of the cave ahead. The penetrative power of condensing a beam would naturally be stronger. However, Long Yu's attack did not leave a single mark on the wall of the cave. This caused Long Yu to squint his eyes. The sturdiness of this cave had truly exceeded his expectations. Naturally, Deng Yuan and the other 4 noticed his situation. TCH, I thought the guy personally sent by the general would have some special ability. I didn't expect him to not even leave a mark on the wall. Then why do we still need this kid? Hurry up and tell him to scram. Otherwise, if we dig up something, won't we have to give him a share? That's right. Deng Yuan, you're our team leader. Hurry up and tell this kid to scram. A few of them started cursing, and their gazes towards Long Yu were filled with ill intent. Deng Yuan looked at Long Yu and shook his head. Brother Mountain Ghost, it's not that I'm sorry, but your strength is just too. I'll try again. I didn't use my full strength just now. Long Yu narrowed his eyes and insisted. He could understand their feelings. After all, no one would be willing to bring along a useless person to do something, especially when they had to give him a share of the harvest. Therefore, Long Yu said this, wanting to give it another try. However, those people were not prepared to give Long Yu this opportunity. You didn't use your full strength? Brat, are you an idiot? Who would go all out in mining? If you can only use your full strength to destroy this cave wall, how slow will your mining speed be? Let's go. Don't slow us down. How unlucky. Get out. Let the boss arrange for you to go to another team. Our team can't afford to carry a useless piece of trash like you. These words were a little rude. They didn't even give him the slightest chance, and this caused Long Yu to be rather displeased. Moreover, when he linked it to the trace of treachery Deng Yuan revealed earlier, it caused him to simply decide not to go with them, so as to avoid even more unpleasant things from occurring later. Then I'll go dig somewhere else. After saying that, Long Yu turned around and left. Ha 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 ha, I'm dying of laughter. With your strength, you won't be able to dig anything out even if you dig for a lifetime. Ignore him. Let's do our own thing. If it was someone else, we'd be afraid that he would snatch away our food. This brat is so weak, he won't be able to dig anything out no matter how much we dig. Let him be. Those people did not make him stay, and they continued to mock Long Yu. Long Yu did not care at all. He turned around and walked toward another fork in the cave. Soon, the noise and mockery were left behind. Before turning around, Long Yu also noticed that Deng Yuan had a look of joy on his face, but he did not know what he was happy about. Logically speaking, there was no reason for this guy to be happy about Long Yu's departure, right? Long Yu became vigilant in his heart, and then he walked toward another fork in the cave. There were many forks in the entire mine, but there weren't many. Most of them had already dug through a large expanse of gray metal walls, and they were unable to move forward any further. So they had to constantly open up new paths. Long Yu walked along the fork in the cave for around 300 m before he arrived at the end, and he was faced with a gray metal wall that flickered with a gray sheen. This was an existence that was even harder than those enormous rock walls from before. Long Yu was just about to turn around and leave when he thought about it. Others were helpless against these gray metal walls, but it didn't mean that he couldn't. I have the Netherworld Dragon Blade. It just so happens that there's no one around right now. Why don't I try and see if the Netherworld Dragon Blade is able to break through these gray metal walls? Long Yu thought in his heart, and he made a decision. He held the pitch-black Netherworld Dragon Blade in his hand, and the blade flickered with a strange and ghastly aura. He held the Netherworld Dragon Blade, and activated the power of the divine character he had comprehended. He focused on the blade, and then he stabbed it towards the gray metal wall in front of him. Out of Long Yu's expectations, the incredibly hard gray metal wall was instantly pierced through by the Netherworld Dragon Blade. It must be known that these gray metal walls were even harder than the enormous rock walls. Just the enormous rock walls alone were something that even Heavenly Realm martial practitioners would find extremely difficult to break through, let alone these gray metal walls. From the fact that once they dug through the entire gray metal wall, they would give up on this entire path, it could be seen that even Heavenly Realm experts would be helpless against these gray metal walls. However, with the Netherworld Dragon Blade in his hand, and the divine character condensed in it, Long Yu was able to pierce through it in an instant. Haha, amazing, as expected of an ancient war weapon. Long Yu's eyes lit up, and he immediately became excited. If other Heavenly Realm martial practitioners could dig out quite a lot of good stuff just by digging slowly like that, wouldn't Long Yu be able to blast open a path easily with the Netherworld Dragon Blade? His mining speed was more than 100 times, or even 1,000 times faster than other martial practitioners. Raising his martial realm was currently Long Yu's main goal. However, the heart's tribulation had yet to arrive, so all Long Yu could do was prepare for it while improving his strength in other areas. If he could dig out some good stuff in the Nightmare Mountain range and exchange it for some pills, war weapons, or martial techniques, it would be a good thing for Long Yu too. Immediately, He held the netherworld dragon blade and continued to stab the gray metal wall. After just a few stabs, he had already dug out a large piece of gray metal. Sensing that there was no spiritual chi in it, he directly threw it into the ancient dragon bone tower. The gray metal was extremely hard. If others knew that he could cut it like mud, it would probably attract unnecessary trouble. Hence, he had to be careful and not throw the gray metal around. After a few more stabs, Long Yu suddenly felt an extremely dense spiritual chi coming from behind the gray metal wall. It was more than 10 times denser than the other places in the mine. Is there something good here? Long Yu was overjoyed and then worked even harder. He directly condensed the Een character and used the netherworld dragon blade to cut through an extremely thick gray metal wall. Then, he reached out and dug out a green diamond embedded in the gray metal. Long Yu used the netherworld dragon blade to carefully remove the gray metal, and very soon, a green diamond was revealed. It gave off a dense spiritual chi that Long Yu had never seen before. What level of treasure is this? Such dense spiritual chi will probably attract the attention of others. Long Yu immediately hid it in the space of the ancient dragon bone tower. The ancient dragon bone tower was an independent space. No one would be able to sense what was hidden in it. Long Yu suddenly recalled that there had been rumors recently that people were constantly digging out a treasure called the Green Diamond in the Nightmare Mountains. Even if it was only the size of a fingernail, it could at least double the hardness of a battle weapon when added to it during the forging process, making it less vulnerable to damage. If the cyan gemstone that Long Yu had obtained was that kind of cyan gemstone, then it would be the size of a fist. Once word got out, countless people would definitely go crazy. I'm afraid that even experts in the mystical realm would not be able to quickly cut through this gray metal wall. It's all thanks to a sharp weapon like the netherworld dragon blade for me. Long Yu's eyes shone brightly. He could not help but look forward to it. If he could cultivate a martial technique for assassination and sneak attacks, how powerful would it be when paired with the netherworld dragon blade? When he returned, Long Yu could consider exchanging his gains for such a martial technique, but he did not know if he would be able to find what he was looking for. Long Yu shook his head and did not think too much about it for now. What he needed to do now was to dig out as many treasures from the wall as possible. No one would have any designs on the gray metal wall, and this was also the reason why Long Yu was able to take advantage of it. The netherworld dragon blade gave off a deep and strange luster as Long Yu stabbed it into the gray metal wall. Soon, a large piece of gray metal was dug out and thrown into the ancient dragon bone tower. At the same time, he also obtained 4 green diamonds the size of a fist, which he kept in his bag. However, at this moment, when he dug out another finger-sized green diamond and was about to put it into the ancient dragon bone tower, he suddenly heard chaotic footsteps behind him. It's a green diamond, it's really a green diamond. Damn it, we've finally hit the jackpot, ha ha ha. How did this kid manage to get it? It's really amazing, but we've benefited from it. A few extremely excited voices reached Long Yu's ears. Long Yu turned his body to look and saw that it was Deng Yuan's team of 5. Perhaps they were worried about Long Yu, or perhaps they had sensed some spiritual chi from the green diamond, so they had run over. Chapter 469. Long Yu had already expected them to come over to take a look, but he didn't expect them to arrive so quickly, or even see the cyan-edged diamond in his hand. Long Yu narrowed his eyes. He had already obtained 5 fist-sized cyan-edged diamonds, so it didn't matter if he gave the thumb-sized one in his hand to them. After all, this place was the territory of the Vulture Squad. Kid, hand over the diamond. A treasure like this isn't something someone like you should have. A heavenly origin martial cultivator with a hooked nose immediately glared at Long Yu and said sinisterly, "This is the territory of our Vulture Squad. The green-edged gemstone found here naturally belongs to our Vulture Squad." Another person looked at Long Yu with greed flickering in his eyes. Here. Without any hesitation, Long Yu tossed the cyan-edged diamond in his hand to the kind-looking middle-aged man, Deng Yuan. Deng Yuan was slightly stunned. He could no longer hold back the joy on his face when he felt the dense spiritual qi from the cyan-edged diamond. There must be something fishy about this kid being so obedient. Who knew that the hook-nosed martial cultivator still had a sinister look on his face as he said, "Boss Deng, I'm afraid this kid has more than one green-edged diamond. We can't just let him get away with it." "That's right," Deng Yuan said in a low voice. He looked at Long Yu and said, "Brother Hillghost, please hand over everything you found. Otherwise, you'll be the enemy of our vulture squad." Long Yu was infuriated when he heard this. "Then why don't you tell me what else I have on me? The dagger in your hand isn't an ordinary item, right? It's a waste in your hands. Why don't you hand it over to us? We'll be able to dig out more treasures." The hooked-nosed martial cultivator's eyes were extremely cunning. He immediately set his sights on the nether void dragon dagger in Long Yu's hand. "Are your vulture squad bandits?" Long Yu sneered. "I've just obtained this cyan-edged diamond, and I've already handed it over to you, yet you still want to snatch my battle weapon? Do you have any shame?" The other party's behavior was indeed too much. Even if Long Yu didn't think of any conflict, he couldn't tolerate it anymore. Initially, he had handed over the cyan-edged diamond because this place was the territory of the Bald Eagle Squad. However, he had not expected the other party to be so insatiable and set their sights on his combat weapon. "Cut the crap, brat!" The hook-nosed martial cultivator's lips curled up as he said viciously, "Here, you won't be able to escape even if you have wings. With the 5 of us surrounding you, do you think you can survive? Either hand over everything on you or die." "Actually, we don't have to waste our breath on him." Deng Yuan suddenly spoke at this time, a cunning look flashing in his eyes, completely different from his previous amiable image. "This person was personally assigned to our team by the general, so he must have some treasures on him. Let's just kill him and be done with it." "But, if the general asks about it personally, how should we explain it?" someone said with a guilty conscience. This person was extremely disobedient. He ran around in the mine and was crushed to death by the collapse of the mine. Even his bones were buried. Deng Yuan said viciously, "If that's the case, even if the general asks about it personally, nothing will happen to us. This brat was assigned to us by the general, but he wasn't sent here, nor did he give us any instructions. It's obvious that he isn't someone important. Killing him won't cause any consequences." The hook-nosed martial cultivator licked his lips. "Furthermore, we can say that we never saw this person, and we can push the blame away. After all, no one came here with this brat." "You're right." Deng Yuan nodded his head. Then, the 5 of them looked at Long Yu with murderous gazes. "Are you guys done?" Long Yu said calmly as he glanced at the 5 of them, especially the leader, Deng Yuan. At first, he thought that this guy was quite kind, but he didn't expect that it was all an act. He was actually such a sinister, cunning, and greedy person. Sensing the murderous intent from the 5 people, Long Yu immediately decided to make the first move and kill all 5 of them. In Long Yu's eyes, heavenly origin martial cultivators weren't considered experts. Deng Yuan seemed to want to say something, but his vision suddenly blurred. Long Yu's figure suddenly disappeared, followed by a gust of cold wind, as if something was attacking him. As a heavenly origin martial cultivator, Deng Yuan was extremely experienced in combat. At this moment, he immediately realized that it was Long Yu who had launched a sneak attack on them. He immediately sneered. "You overestimate yourself. How dare you come to the Sun Mine with a mere human tribulation realm cultivation? You can't blame others even if you die. Kill." Deng Yuan harumphed coldly and raised his hand. A wave of fiery energy from the heavenly steel laws burst out, forming a violent defensive wall of fire in an attempt to block Long Yu's sneak attack. Long Yu had used the hidden divine rune, so these people couldn't find him at all. However, seeing that Deng Yuan had executed a defensive technique, Long Yu dodged him. Wielding the Nether Void Dragon Blade, he directly pierced towards the hook-nosed martial cultivator beside him. The hook-nosed martial cultivator reacted extremely quickly. With a wave of his hand, he formed a wall of earth in front of him. Kill. Long Yu wasn't afraid of the earth wall. With a light stab of the Nether Dragon Blade, the earth wall collapsed with a loud bang along with the power of the Nether Divine Rune. Immediately after, two martial skills, Awakening Samsara and Lying Drunk Yellow Springs, were condensed on Long Yu's fist. The netherworld chi instantly exploded and shot towards the hook-nosed martial cultivator's face. The two were extremely close to each other, so the others didn't know how to help even if they wanted to. They were afraid that they would accidentally injure the hook-nosed martial cultivator, so they all retreated. One person is enough to deal with him, Deng Yuan said coldly. He wasn't worried about the hook-nosed martial cultivator's safety. However, in the next moment, the hook-nosed martial cultivator's martial cultivation was affected by the power of samsara and temporarily fell back to the human tribulation realm. Immediately after, the Yellow Springs spirit appeared and completely restrained him. The hook-nosed martial cultivator's expression changed. Just as he was about to call for help, the Nether Dragon Blade had already swept over and pierced his chest, shattering his heart. One dead. If Long Yu didn't kill these people, they would kill him. He had no other choice. As for the consequences of killing them, Long Yu didn't have time to think about it. He couldn't be bothered to think about it. The strongest member of the Vulture team was only in the Heavenly Flower realm. If it was a one-on-one fight, Long Yu wasn't afraid at all. The hook-nosed martial cultivator's heart was shattered by Long Yu's blade. He fell backwards in disbelief and fell heavily on the ground of the mine, causing a cloud of dust to rise. Deng Yuan and the others' expressions changed when they saw this. Their originally calm expressions immediately turned grave. The hook-nosed martial cultivator was dead. In other words, the masked kid called Mountain Ghost definitely had the strength to kill heavenly origin martial cultivators like them. What should we do? Should we call for reinforcements? One of them said with a trembling voice. If he was Long Yu's target just now, he would most likely be the one dead. No need. Once we get rid of this kid, everything on him will be ours. If we call for reinforcements, it won't be our turn. Deng Yuan said with a gloomy expression, let's attack together. No matter how powerful this kid is, he's only in the human tribulation realm. As soon as he finished speaking, the four of them gathered the power of the laws of heaven and earth that they had comprehended and swept it towards Long Yu. Flames, ice spears, hurricanes, and boulders. 4 different types of power of laws immediately crushed towards Long Yu. The power of laws released by heavenly origin martial cultivators was several times stronger than Long Yu's. I can't dodge it. Reincarnation barrier. Long Yu's heart was extremely calm. The netherworld chi instantly condensed into a reincarnation barrier, protecting his entire body. In the next moment, the 4 types of power of laws descended and shattered the pitch-black, translucent reincarnation barrier. The reincarnation barrier was a defensive martial technique, but it only managed to block less than half of the power of the laws and rebounded it. The remaining half of the power landed heavily on Long Yu's body. It was 1 against 4. Not to mention, Long Yu had just killed a hook-nosed man. Facing the swift reactions of Deng Yuan and the others, Long Yu was simply unable to dodge. He could only take the blow. Lightning flashed all over his body as he spat out a mouthful of blood. The 4 types of power of laws were so powerful that Long Yu inevitably suffered internal injuries. However, his internal injuries weren't fatal because he had the torrential thunder tyrant body. Not only that, but the self-healing divine runes he comprehended were automatically released the moment he was injured, enveloping all the injured parts of his body. The internal injuries that he had suffered were actually recovering at an extremely fast speed. Long Yu relied on his powerful physical body and self-healing divine runes to forcefully withstand the all-out attack of the 4 heavenly origin martial cultivators. Dragon Sparrow Shadow Kill. Before his internal injuries could fully heal, a pair of pitch-black dragon sparrow wings appeared on Long Yu's back. His body merged with the dragon sparrow shadow and his speed skyrocketed. He arrived in front of Deng Yuan in the blink of an eye. Siphon Divine Runes, Absorb. Long Yu's arm flickered with lightning as he forcibly penetrated the defensive firewall and pressed his hand on Deng Yuan's shoulder. The power of the Siphon Divine Runes instantly erupted. Deng Yuan had been resisting a small portion of the power that had been reflected by the reincarnation barrier. He had never expected that Long Yu would survive the combined attack of the 4 of them. Not only did he not die, but he even counterattacked at the fastest speed possible. Deng Yuan sneered when he sensed that Long Yu had broken through his defensive firewall with his bare hands. Is this kid courting death? However, when he felt Long Yu's hand on his shoulder, he felt a terrifying and strange suction force rapidly suck away the power in his body. Deng Yuan's expression changed again. Flame Explosion Kill. Deng Yuan wasn't an expert. He hadn't even comprehended any divine runes. He had only comprehended one type of fire heaven and earth law. Facing Long Yu's siphon divine runes, the eruption of the fire heaven and earth law could not stop Long Yu's actions. Flames sprang up. Long Yu's entire body was bathed in raging flames. However, his entire body was covered in lightning, as well as a layer of self-healing divine runes wrapped around his body, allowing him to forcibly endure the damage of these flames. In the next moment, more than half of the power in Deng Yuan's body had been sucked away by the siphon divine runes. Then, Long Yu threw a punch that landed heavily on Deng Yuan's chest. Nether Dragon 9 Explosions. Gain the upper hand with a show of strength. Chapter 470. With Deng Yuan's death, the cyan-edged diamond in his hand returned to Long Yu's hand. Long Yu's entire body flickered with lightning. The power of the law of fire released by Deng Yuan finally dissipated along with his life force. Long Yu had been injured by the power of the law of fire when he attacked Deng Yuan, but he rapidly recovered with the power of the self-healing divine rune. Let's go. The remaining 3 immediately lost the courage to stay behind to deal with Long Yu when they saw Deng Yuan sent flying. They all rose into the air and flew towards the entrance of the mine. Trying to run? A cold glint flashed in Long Yu's eyes. These fellows had wanted to kill and rob, but Long Yu had killed 2 of them instead. How could it be so easy to escape now? The dragon sparrow wings on Long Yu's back unfurled, and the dragon sparrow shadow appeared, gradually fusing with him. His speed suddenly exploded, and in the blink of an eye, he had caught up to the Heaven Origin stage martial cultivator who was at the very back. Nether Void Dragon Blade Kill. Long Yu wielded the Void Nether Dragon Blade and stabbed at that person's back. Ice Spike. The person did not even turn his head. The power of the law of ice that he had comprehended caused countless ice spikes to grow from his back, making him look like an ice hedgehog. He wanted to use this to block Long Yu's assassination, but Long Yu did not care about these ice spikes at all. Nether Dragon 9 Explosions. Dragon Roar Darkening Sky Snow. Spirit Blast. Long Yu activated the profound chi in his body and mixed it with the power of the law of 9 underworlds, instantly sweeping the aura of 9 underworlds forward. The 3 people who were fleeing were surrounded by a cloud of black snowflake. Coupled with the dragon roar exploding in their ears, their speed abruptly dropped. Heavenly Mandate Divine Light, Nether Divine Rune, Light Blast. Long Yu once again used this so-called acquired mystique, shattering all the ice spikes on the back of the person in front of him with a single move. Then, the Nether Void Dragon Blade stabbed down, shattering the person's heart in a single move. In front of Long Yu, a Heavenly Origin stage martial cultivator could not even last a breath of time. Immediately afterward, Long Yu merged with the Dragon Sparrow image and quickly caught up to the two people in front of him. The pitch-black light of the void underworld dragon blade continuously flashed in the mine. Not long after, Deng Yuan and the four people he led were completely annihilated by Long Yu. Go in. Long Yu casually picked up the corpses and threw them into the space of the ancient dragon bone tower. The seventh floor was filled with the power of the divine siphoning runes. It wouldn't take long for these corpses to be reduced to bones. When that time came, Long Yu could take them out, and no one would know their identities. The parts of the mine that were stained with blood were also dug out by Long Yu with the nether dragon blade. He threw the hard boulders and gray metals into the dragon bone tower. The ancient dragon bone tower is a good tool to destroy corpses. The corners of Long Yu's mouth curled slightly as he thought to himself. Next, he just needed to pretend that he knew nothing. In any case, no one would know that he had a conflict with Deng Yuan and the others. Long Yu returned to the mine alone. He held the netherworld dragon blade in his hand and continued to dig at the gray metal wall. About 6 hours later, the tunnel had been forcefully dug by Long Yu to a length of several dozen feet. All the gray metals dug out were thrown into the ancient dragon bone tower by Long Yu. At the same time, he also obtained more than 20 fist-sized cyan diamonds. As for thumb-sized cyan diamonds, there were more than 100 of them. There were even cyan diamonds the size of a human head. The dense heaven and earth spiritual energy within them caused Long Yu to exclaim in admiration. Long Yu stored all these things in the ancient dragon bone tower and hid them. Just as he was about to leave, a few people suddenly appeared behind him and stopped him. The one in front was the leader of the entire vulture mining team. The burly man was called Zhou Xiongliang. Behind him were 3 heavenly beginnings martial cultivators. They all looked at Long Yu coldly. "Where are Deng Yuan and the others?" Zhou Xiongliang asked in a deep voice. He stared at Long Yu and emitted the powerful aura of a heavenly flower realm expert, suppressing Long Yu. "I couldn't dig through the wall. They didn't like me, so I came here on my own." Long Yu did not panic at all despite feeling the pressure from the other party. Instead, he replied calmly, "I remember that this path was blocked by gray silver. Why is there an additional several dozen feet now?" Zhou Xiongliang snorted coldly. "Kid, what the hell are you doing? You must be doing something sneaky. Hurry up and tell us, or else you'll take my life." Long Yu chuckled. "I joined your Condor squad, but I didn't do anything. Yet, you want my life? Isn't that too ridiculous? Don't you think it's a little inappropriate to threaten me like this? Cut the crap. Hurry up and tell us where Deng Yuan and the others are." One of the people behind Zhou Xiongliang yelled, "You'll die if you don't tell us. What if I told you that Deng Yuan and the others tried to kill me for my combat weapon, but I killed them instead? Would you believe me?" Long Yu's eyes flickered coldly as he asked. His words caused the expressions of the 4 people, including Zhou Xiongliang, to change slightly. "Did you really kill them?" One of them was shocked. "Could it be that you've been hiding your strength? You should at least be a heavenly flower realm cultivator to be able to take on 5 people at once, right?" "No, this kid is only a human tribulation realm cultivator." Zhou Xiongliang shook his head as a vicious expression appeared on his face. "However, there's still no news of Deng Yuan and the others. They were most likely killed by this kid. Anyone who dares to kill the people of the vultures will die." A heavenly origin realm martial cultivator glared at Long Yu with a vicious look in his eyes. "Let me do it." The leader of the vultures, Zhou Xiongliang, stepped forward. The burly man's head was almost touching the ceiling of the mine, making him look extremely sturdy. Coupled with the aura emitted from his body, the people behind him felt extremely relieved. No matter how strong Long Yu was, it was impossible for him to break through their leader, a heavenly flower realm expert, Zhou Xiongliang. Long Yu saw the vicious and cold looks in their eyes as they discussed. It was obvious that this was not the first time they had done something like this. They did not care about the truth. They only knew that Long Yu and Deng Yuan and the others had entered the mine together, but Deng Yuan and the others had disappeared. Therefore, they believed that it was Long Yu's doing. Not only that, but from the greedy look in Zhou Xiongliang's eyes, Long Yu also knew that this guy had guessed that he had some treasure on him and wanted to kill him for it. Looks like the mining teams in this Devil Nightmare mountain range are really not people that can be trifled with. All of them are fierce and cruel, Long Yu thought. Since Zhou Xiongliang wanted to kill Long Yu without hesitation, Long Yu naturally would not sit and wait for death. Before Zhou Xiongliang made his move, Long Yu directly used the invisibility divine rune, allowing his body to hide within the mine. However, this mine had already reached the end. With Zhou Xiongliang's tall and sturdy body blocking his way, Long Yu had no way out. You want to play hide and seek with me? How naive. Zhou Xiongliang's lips curled up as he said disdainfully, Shadow Sky Snake Law, kill him. As soon as he said this, an extremely cold aura was emitted from his body. Then, several snake-shaped spiritual energy condensed around his body. The Shadow Sky Snake Law was actually a heaven crystal law. There was a total of 7 Shadow Sky Snake. As soon as they appeared, the entire place was shrouded in a sinister aura. Every Shadow Sky Snake carried an extremely terrifying aura. After these 7 Shadow Sky Snakes appeared, they slithered towards Zhou Xiongliang. Even if they couldn't see where Long Yu was, there was only so much space ahead. Where could Long Yu go? Shadow Sky Snake Bite. Zhou Xiongliang's eyes flashed with a cruel light. He raised his hand and the 7 Shadow Sky Snakes released a poisonous gas that filled the entire space in front of them. Even a heavenly tribulation realm expert might not be able to withstand this poison, let alone a mere mortal tribulation realm brat like you. If you're smart, surrender immediately and I might spare your life. Otherwise, just die. Zhou Xiongliang said calmly as he looked at the scene in front of him. This was because he was certain that after he released the Shadow Sky Snake Bite, as long as the kid called Shan Gui did not beg for mercy within 3 breaths, he would be poisoned and die. Is that so? Long Yu's chuckle suddenly rang in the ears of Zhou Xiongliang and the others. Immediately after, Zhou Xiongliang's expression changed slightly. He couldn't find where Long Yu was, but the poisonous gas released by his 7 Shadow Sky Snakes had been completely absorbed by some strange power. In just a moment, the devourer of the Shadow Heavenly Snake that he had released had already disappeared from the entire mine, causing his face to darken completely. Boom! Boom! Kill that brat! Zhou Xiongliang felt a chill run down his spine. He immediately waved his hand and ordered the 3 Heavenly Origin stage martial practitioners behind him to release extremely strong power of laws towards a small section of the mine ahead. The walls of the mine in the Nightmare Mountain range were extremely hard. Even after countless people had fought fiercely inside, it was impossible to dig through. The power of the Shadow Sky Snake Law, along with the power of the 3 Heavenly Tablet Laws, filled the entire space. However, in the next moment, everyone felt that more than half of their power was reflected back. Reincarnation Barrier. Long Yu hid in the shadows, and with a wave of his hand, he condensed the reincarnation barrier. After which, lightning crackled around his body as he forcefully withstood the attacks of the 4 opponents. With a single step, he appeared in front of Zhou Xiongliang. Nether Dragon 9 Explosions. 5th Explosion, Dragon Heart Edict. Long Yu displayed the 5th explosion of the Nether Dragon 9 Explosions, a move that he had comprehended while chasing after Deng Yuan and the other 2. The 5th explosion, Dragon Heart Edict, used a dragon roar to interfere with the opponent's heartbeat, causing their hearts to explode and die. A dragon roar suddenly rang in Zhou Xiongliang's ears, shocking him on the spot and causing him to lose the ability to think. When he returned to his senses, his heart was already pounding along with the dragon roar around him. The frequency of the dragon roar grew faster and louder, causing Zhou Xiongliang's heart to beat faster and faster. In less than a breath's time, finally. Explode. Chapter 471. The Dragonheart Edict was the fifth explosion that Long Yu could only use after he had comprehended the great desolate level martial technique, the Nether Dragon's 9 explosions, to the perfection realm. This move directly used a dragon's roar to shock the opponent's heartbeat and explode their heart meridians, killing them in one blow. Even someone as strong as Zhou Xiongliang, who was at the Heavenly Flower stage, was unable to survive Long Yu's attack. But even so, Long Yu was still heavily injured by the attacks of the others. He spat out a mouthful of blood. He took 2 steps back. His black clothes flickered with lightning as the self-healing runes in his body continuously healed his internal injuries. As long as he was given some time, he would be able to completely recover. With the powerful Thunderbolt Tyrant body and the power of the self-healing runes, the attacks of a few Heaven Origin Realm martial cultivators would no longer be able to kill Long Yu. Long Yu raised his head and swept a glance at the remaining 3 martial cultivators. The 3 of them immediately screamed and turned to run. Even Zhou Xiongliang in the Heaven Flower Realm was killed by this mountain ghost. What could the remaining Heaven Origin Realm martial cultivators do? They could only run. When Long Yu saw them escaping, he heaved a sigh of relief. Right now, he was severely injured. If the other party did not run away and instead fought to the death, then Long Yu would not be able to obtain any benefits. What Long Yu needed to do now was to heal his injuries and go out to see how the Vulture team was doing. The 3 that escaped would definitely announce Zhou Xiongliang's death. When that happened, he did not know what the remaining people would do. Would they encircle and annihilate Long Yu, or would they scatter? Long Yu did not know. He could only use the self-healing runes in his body to heal himself and could not chase after the 3 that escape. After the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, Long Yu's breathing gradually stabilized and his heartbeat returned to normal. The internal injuries he suffered were completely healed by the self-healing divine runes. It was even more effective than taking an Earth-rank healing pill. But at this moment, a noise came from the entrance of the mine. It was obvious that someone had entered. "Are you here to encircle me?" Long Yu narrowed his eyes. Amidst the clamor, there were quite a few people saying that they wanted to kill him and seize his treasures. Moreover, they guessed that he was heavily injured, which was why he didn't chase after those 3 people. Long Yu didn't even think about it. He immediately used the hidden divine rune, and his entire figure disappeared from the mine. Instead, he headed toward the entrance of the mine. Aside from Zhou Xiongliang, the rest of the Vulture squad were only at the Heavenly Origin stage. No one could see through Long Yu's stealth divine rune. Soon, Long Yu saw that the remaining members of the Vulture squad had all arrived. Each of them had a fierce look on their faces, as if they wanted to tear Long Yu into pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 people. Long Yu glanced at it and his heart skipped a beat. He remembered that when they first arrived on the platform, there were a total of 15 members in the Vulture squad. Now that Deng Yuan and the other 4 were dead, as well as Zhou Xiongliang, there should be 9 people left. Why was one missing? This discovery stopped Long Yu from taking action for the time being. After all, safety was the most important thing. He was currently facing 8 Heavenly Realm experts, and each of them had a higher cultivation level than Long Yu. If Long Yu wasn't careful, it would be very easy for him to fail miserably. Moreover, the 9th person had yet to appear, and he might be hiding in the dark. He hid in the mine and watched as the group of people split up and walked deeper into the mine. Soon, he discovered that Long Yu was nowhere to be seen. "Right, that guy can turn invisible. We have to be careful," someone suddenly said. This person was one of the 3 people who came with Zhou Xiongliang to besiege Long Yu. "Why didn't you say so earlier? That guy probably slipped away long ago." Another person said unhappily, "But don't be too careless. Surround him. Once he sneaks up on us, we can immediately give him a head-on blow. Let's not rush." Let's go back and guard the cave entrance, lest that guy runs away. That's right. Old Nine has already informed Deputy General Zoe. Deputy General Zoe will definitely be furious with the death of our boss. That guy can't run away no matter what. Long Yu hid at the side and listened to these people's conversation. He frowned slightly. Deputy General Zoe? Long Yu knew that there were 4 other deputy generals in the entire Nightmare Legion besides General Hui Yuanbai. One of the 4 deputy generals did seem to have the surname Zoe. No way. Who the hell is this Zhou Xiongliang? Is he a relative of Deputy General Zoe? Long Yu cursed in his heart. He was too unlucky. Fortunately, he was injured a moment ago, and was unable to chase and kill those 3 fellows, causing the news to leak out. Now that old Jiu had already gone to inform Deputy General Zoe, even if Long Yu set off to chase them now, it would be impossible for him to catch them. I didn't expect to get into trouble on my first day here, but this can't be blamed on me. Do I have no choice but to let others kill me if they want to kill me? Long Yu thought to himself as a cold light flashed across his eyes. He had just arrived in an unfamiliar environment. He did not want to kill unless it was necessary. However, when Deng Yuanbai, Zhou Xiongliang, and the others made it clear that they wanted to kill Long Yu and seize his treasure, how could Long Yu just let himself be captured? To Long Yu, a counterattack was something that couldn't be more normal. Even if this matter reached General Hui Yuanbai, Long Yu had enough reasons to do so. Deputy General Zoe was definitely an expert in the mystery realm. If he were to deal with Long Yu would not have any chance of resisting. For now, Long Yu could only inform Hui Yuanbai or Little Fatty Ren Pingfan about this matter. Little Fatty said that he would send someone to monitor my safety. But now that he has just been appointed as a foreign military advisor, he shouldn't be able to send someone to monitor me so soon. Long Yu shook his head. No matter how he thought about it, he still had to rely on himself to solve this matter. However, before reporting to Hui Yuanbai, Long Yu had one more thing to do. That was to kill all the guys in the mine. Since these guys were his enemies and he had the ability to kill them, there was no reason for him to let them live. Murderous intent surged in Long Yu's eyes. He stealthily returned to the mine and observed the power. If these powers were to land on Long Yu at the same time, there was no chance that Long Yu would survive, even with the Black Thunder Overlord body and the self-healing divine text. Wind, thunder, rain, lightning, boulders, and flames came from all directions. However, the corner of Long Yu's mouth curled up, Dragon Sparrow Flash. This was a defensive skill extended from a supreme mystic level skill. It could allow Long Yu to cross to another dimension in an instant and avoid all attack. When the Dragon Sparrow Flash was used, Long Yu's entire body turned translucent. The various attacks aimed at him passed through his body as if they were passing through a wisp of green smoke. What? The 7 people were all shocked. Then, they were overwhelmed. The person that Long Yu had chosen to assassinate was in the center of the 7 people. When Long Yu used the Dragon Sparrow Flash to avoid the attacks from the 7 people, the chaotic attacks started to attack the others. Infinite power of laws and divine text burst out, and the whole scene instantly became extremely chaotic. Taking advantage of the chaos, Long Yu was like a fish in water. Holding the Void Dragon Blade, he continuously performed the 9 explosions of the Nether Dragon. In the midst of the dragon roars, 2 more martial cultivators died under Long Yu's attack. 9 Nether Blood Shadow. When Long Yu killed 2 people, the initial chaos had passed. Then, he threw out the 9 Nether Blood Shadow, which had been modified into a supreme mystic level combat weapon. An invisible 9 Nether Blood Shadow instantly spread out and attached itself to the remaining 5 people, causing their expressions to change. What's trying to suck my blood? The 5 people were about to attack Long Yu again, but were shocked by the 9 Nether Blood Shadow's ability to suck their blood. In a hurry, Long Yu took advantage of the weakness of one of them. The Void Dragon Blade flickered with a dark and eerie luster, and instantly cut open the person's neck, causing a spray of blood to spray out. The nether dragon blade was one of the sharpest weapons in the entire Shura prefecture, and even in the entire Shen Wu world. Combined with the power of the 9 nether law and the divine text that Long Yu had comprehended, no heaven-origin martial cultivator could withstand a single attack from it. Even a defensive barrier formed by the laws of heaven and earth would not be able to withstand a single attack from Long Yu. At most, it would cause some trouble for Long Yu. Only half of the 8 people who entered the mine were left in an instant. The remaining 4 each unleashed their powerful auras to disperse the 9 nether blood shadow. However, in the blink of an eye, they discovered that Long Yu had once again disappeared from their sight. Immediately, the remaining 4 were filled with boundless fear. While Long Yu was killing the 8 people in a military camp of the Nightmare Legion, the 4 deputy generals of the Nightmare Legion were in charge of 4 different camps, so that they could coordinate with each other. Once a battle broke out, and the martial cultivators of the Ghost Evil Province invaded, they could quickly spread the news and react accordingly. At this moment, the furious roar of Deputy General Zhou Li came from the camp located at the easternmost side. "What did you say? My nephew Zhou Xiongliang was killed in the sun mining area? Who has the guts to be so arrogant in the sun mining area?" Chapter 472. Sun Mining Area, the mine where the Vulture Squad was located. After Long Yu dealt with the remaining 8 cultivators of the Vulture team, he walked out of the mine. Apart from killing Zhou Xiongliang and offending Deputy General Zhou, he had gained quite a lot from this trip. He had obtained over 100 green-rimmed diamonds, which were extremely valuable. The entire Vulture Squad would probably not be able to obtain so many things even if they worked hard for an entire year. It was clear that the Void Nether Dragon Blade had brought great benefits to Long Yu. Long Yu left the mine and arrived at the platform in the mountain. He suddenly frowned. This was because he discovered that there were 2 Heavenly Tribulation Realm martial cultivators guarding the platform. They both looked somewhat lazy, and their eyes were filled with contempt when they saw Long Yu. "These 2 guys aren't from the Vulture Squad." Long Yu immediately made a judgment and became vigilant. "You're that mountain ghost? It's said that you've committed a crime. It won't be easy to escape. It's better for you to stay here and wait for the enforcers to come." One of them looked at Long Yu and said with a chuckle. This person had extremely high cheekbones and looked extremely cunning. He was definitely not an easy person to deal with. Old 9 of the Vulture Squad said that you killed their boss, Zhou Xiongliang, and asked us to watch you. A mere human tribulation realm kid actually managed to kill Zhou Xiongliang. You're quite a talent. The other person smiled faintly. He looked similar to the person beside him, so they should be brothers. Although the 2 of them didn't do anything, their auras were released when they saw Long Yu. It was obvious that if Long Yu tried to escape, the 2 of them would join forces to take down Long Yu. "You're from the other mining squads nearby?" Long Yu raised his brows and asked. "That's right." The cunning guy with high cheekbones who spoke first narrowed his eyes. "The mining squad was originally here to make money. I didn't expect you to kill your boss, Zhou Xiongliang. It's really inappropriate. You even caused yourself to lose your life. Zhou Xiongliang's backer is very powerful. If it weren't for that, the 2 of us wouldn't have to stay here and watch over you." The other person chuckled. Long Yu roughly knew what was going on. These 2 fellows were probably helpers that 9th brother had found from other places before he left. Their purpose was to keep an eye on Long Yu and prevent him from escaping. Long Yu might not necessarily be able to deal with Heavenly Tribulation Realm cultivators, not to mention there were 2 more in front of him. Long Yu pondered for a moment and immediately made a decision. The only thing he could do now was to release the ancient dragon skeleton pagoda. Otherwise, he would definitely be held back by those 2 fellows. When Deputy General Zhou personally arrived, the situation would be quite bad. "Dragon Bone Tower, come out!" With a thought, Long Yu activated the dragon scale of the 9 serenities, and released the ancient dragon bone tower. Then, using the spatial power of the dragon scale of the 9 serenities, he hid in the 7th floor of the ancient dragon bone tower. At the same time, the entire ancient dragon bone tower expanded rapidly and soon became a gigantic tower. It flew into the air and into the distance. The 2 heavenly tribulation realm martial cultivator brothers' expressions changed at this scene. What's this? It seems like 9th brother wasn't lying when he said that this person had many treasures on him. The cunning martial cultivator with high cheekbones said coldly. Of course. Otherwise, how could a mere human tribulation realm kid kill Zhou Xiongliang? The other person snorted coldly. After him. The 2 of them rose into the air and emitted the aura of the heavenly steel's nomological laws. Moreover, each of them had comprehended 2 types of heavenly steel's nomological laws. In fact, they even had the power of some divine texts mixed in. The ancient dragon bone tower was cumbersome and slow after all. The 2 of them caught up to it and blasted it with all sorts of powers. Even beasts in the mystic realm can't destroy the ancient dragon bone tower. You 2 heavenly tribulation realm martial cultivators can forget about it. Long Yu hid on the 7th level of the ancient dragon bone tower. The corners of his lips curled as he controlled the ancient dragon bone tower to fly towards General Hu Yuanbai's camp. The 2 heavenly tribulation realm brothers unleashed all sorts of attacks, causing explosions on the ancient dragon bone tower. However, a moment later, the 2 of them realized that their attacks had no effect on the ancient tower at all. It was as if they were sweeping through the ancient tower. Big brother, you and I can sense each other's location. Why don't we do this? You chase after the ancient tower and I'll guard here. When Deputy Zhou arrives, I'll bring them here. We must capture this kid. The cunning martial cultivator with high cheekbones suggested to his big brother. The other person narrowed his eyes and nodded slowly. That's fine. Be careful. Don't worry, big brother. A mere human tribulation realm kid killed Zhou Xiongliang and was already severely injured. How could anything happen to me? After the cunning martial cultivator with the high cheekbones finished speaking, he followed closely behind the ancient dragon bone pagoda and sat on the top of the ancient dragon bone pagoda, allowing Long Yu to control the ancient dragon bone pagoda to float forward. The other person turned around and returned to the sun mining area to wait for Deputy General Zhou Li's arrival. Long Yu hid on the 7th level of the ancient dragon bone tower. He had originally wanted to fly to Hu Yuanbai's camp, but he couldn't help but be amused when he saw the 2 brothers moving separately. He might not be able to beat 2 heavenly tribulation realm fellows, but now that there was only one left, he wanted to give it a try. On one hand, he could train his combat abilities. On the other hand, these 2 fellows wanted to use him as a stepping stone to befriend Deputy General Zhou. Long Yu wouldn't let them have their way. Since they were enemies, he had to kill them. Otherwise, there would be endless trouble. Long Yu was never soft-hearted. Furthermore, with the ancient dragon bone tower, there was no way Long Yu would lose his life. It didn't matter even if he lost to this guy. Thinking of this, Long Yu left the space of the ancient dragon bone tower with a single thought, dashing out. Heavenly mandate, divine light, law of 9 serenities, explosion of light. Long Yu shouted and saw a beam of pitch-black divine light condense in front of him. It then shot toward the heavenly tribulation realm martial cultivator at the top of the ancient dragon bone tower. It suddenly exploded when it was about to hit the martial cultivator's face. A pitch-black aura of 9 serenities completely enveloped the top of the tower, giving off an extremely eerie aura. The heavenly mandate divine light was an acquired ability, and its power exceeded that of ordinary superior Earth-level martial arts technique. It wouldn't be completely useless against a heavenly tribulation realm expert. As expected, the cunning heavenly tribulation realm martial cultivator with high cheekbones, who had been ambushed by Long Yu, quickly used his techniques and broke out of the area at the top of the tower that was filled with 9 serenity's chi. However, his entire body was covered in dust, and he even suffered some minor injuries. "How dare you ambush me, Ching-yi? You must be tired of living." The cunning martial cultivator called Ching-yi had an extremely ugly expression of anger on his face. He had always been the one scheming against others. When had he ever been the one being ambushed? Because of this, Ching-yi was angered by Long Yu. His face was filled with anger. Raising his hand, a 5-colored screen of light appeared. It was actually a type of divine text. Furthermore, he had comprehended 70% of the divine text's power. This person had actually obtained divine text inscriptions before. Long Yu's expression changed slightly. However, on second thought, if even Bei Tianyi on Heavenly Mandate Island could obtain divine text inscriptions, then it wouldn't be strange for Heavenly Tribulation Realm martial cultivators of Shura Prefecture to obtain divine text inscriptions. Although the number of divine text inscriptions was still very few, they would still encounter one eventually. The 5-colored light screen that Ching-yi had condensed quickly spread out, completely enveloping him and Long Yu within it, and actually formed a sealed space. He seemed to know that as long Long Yu hid in the ancient dragon skeleton tower, he wouldn't be able to do anything to Long Yu. As such, he directly condensed the divine text inscriptions and trapped Long Yu in an enclosed space. Long Yu narrowed his eyes. If he wanted to enter the ancient dragon skeleton tower now, he only needed to use the spatial power of the dragon scale of the Hades underworld. He didn't need to enter through the entrance like before, as he had already resonated with the ancient dragon skeleton tower. Trapping him in an enclosed space wouldn't stop him from entering the ancient dragon skeleton tower. Moreover, would Long Yu really be trapped in this enclosed space? "Brat, I won't kill you, but I'll capture you alive. Once Deputy Zhou arrives, your death will come." A vicious expression appeared on Ching-yi's face. He raised his hand, and a wave of 5-colored light continued to condense in his hand, forming 2 ferocious cheetahs that pounced towards Long Yu. At the same time, a true spirit of a cheetah appeared behind the Heavenly Tribulation Realm martial cultivator, increasing the power of the 5-colored cheetahs. They became even more ferocious, as if they wanted to tear Long Yu to pieces. The purpose of releasing a true spirit was to increase one's comprehension of the laws of the universe. However, after entering the heavenly realm, the true spirit's amplification effect on one's comprehension of the laws of the universe was not as obvious. On the contrary, the true spirit could easily be destroyed by the great power of those in the heavenly realm. Because of this, Heavenly Tribulation Realm martial cultivators rarely released their true spirits in battle. They would use martial techniques directly or release the laws of the universe to fight their enemies. However, this cunning Heavenly Tribulation Realm martial cultivator Ching-yi seemed to be a little different. His true spirit of cheetahs was vivid and lifelike, making the 2 ferocious cheetahs he condensed more than twice as powerful. I wonder what element this 5-colored divine text has, but it still can't compare to my Yu divine text. Long Yu thought to himself. He immediately used the Yu divine text to condense the heavenly mandate divine light, forming a light screen that faced the 2 ferocious cheetahs. Even though Long Yu's martial arts realm was not high, the Yu divine text was much more powerful than his opponent's 5-colored divine text. The defensive light screen formed by the heavenly mandate martial technique stopped the 2 ferocious cheetahs from pouncing on him. Then, a pair of pitch-black dragon sparrow wings appeared on Long Yu's back. With the dragon sparrow instant teleportation, he suddenly appeared in front of Ching-yi. 9 explosions of the dark dragon roar darkening sky snow. As soon as Long Yu used this move, black snowflakes began to fall from the sky. The roar of a dragon could be heard, causing Ching-yi to fall into a trance uncontrollably for a moment. In the next moment, Long Yu shouted and punched out a dragon heart decree. Chapter 473. As soon as the Dragonheart Edict was used, the Heavenly Tribulation Realm martial cultivator named Ching Yi immediately revealed a pained expression. He felt as if the blood flow in his body was no longer under his control. Not long after, the blood in his body boiled, and his heart beat more and more violently along with the dragon roars around him. If this continued, Ching Yi would definitely end up like Zhou Xiongliang, killed by the Dragonheart Edict. However, he was worthy of being a Heavenly Tribulation Realm expert. In that moment of imminent peril, his entire body erupted with the power of the 5-colored divine runes, forcibly blasting away the pressure brought about by Long Yu's punch. The endless dragon roars were dispersed by him, showing how terrifying his strength was. If the Dragonheart Edict was used against the Heavenly Tribulation Realm experts on Heavenly Mandate Island, no one would be able to resist it. However, Ching Yi had forcefully resisted it. This 5-colored divine character seems to be quite powerful. Long Yu narrowed his eyes, but he did not care that his opponent had dispersed the pressure of the Dragonheart Edict. Although Ching Yi had broken free from the Lungxin's strenuous influence, he was still covered in cold sweat and his body had become extremely stiff. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Long Yu released the 9 Serenity's blood shadow with a thought. An invisible and formless energy enveloped Ching Yi's entire body and started to absorb his blood. This made Ching Yi snort coldly, and the 5-colored divine characters burst out once again, forcibly repelling the dark blood shadow. A top-grade profound-level battle weapon was almost useless against an opponent 3 levels higher than Long Yu. However, in this short period of time, Long Yu used another technique. Siphon Divine Characters. Long Yu raised his hand and a wave of power from the Siphon Divine Characters surged out, covering Ching Yi's entire body. Then, a suction force even stronger than the dark blood shadow enveloped Ching Yi. Although Long Yu had only comprehended 1% of the Siphon Divine Rune, this came directly from the source of Divine Runes. It was far more tyrannical than Ching Yi's 70% comprehension of the 5-colored Divine Runes. Even though Ching Yi continuously tried to use the power of the 5-colored Divine Characters to break through the Siphon Divine Characters, he was unable to do so. Instead, the Siphon Divine Characters absorbed a great deal of the 5-colored Divine Characters' power, causing him to fall into a state where he was unable to resist. Nether Void Dragon Blade Kill. A cold light flashed through Long Yu's eyes, and he flapped his dragon sparrow wings while the Siphon Divine Runes stalled Ching Yi, bringing him close to Ching Yi. The Void Nether Dragon Blade flashed with a deep and strange luster, gathering the boundless power of the Nether character, and instantly pierced into Ching Yi's arm. It wasn't that Long Yu didn't want to attack his opponent's vitals. It was just that the power of Ching Yi's 5-colored divine characters couldn't be ignored. His arm was the weakest. If Long Yu attacked anywhere else, even though the other party would not be able to block the Nether Void Dragon Blade, Long Yu would still be heavily injured. In the next instant, Long Yu used the Dragon Sparrow instant teleportation to retreat. Ching Yi, who wanted to seize the opportunity to kill Long Yu, missed his target. The blood that flowed out of his arm seemed to make the Siphon Divine Runes that covered him even more terrifying. They actually absorbed all the blood that he was about to bleed. In just a breath's time, Ching Yi's entire arm had withered. It was clear that the Siphon Divine Runes had sucked away enough of his blood, causing his arm to wither. What the hell is this? A look of panic finally appeared on Ching Yi's face. He continuously tried to erupt with the power of the 2 heavenly steel laws, as well as the power of the 5-colored divine characters. He wanted to break free from the Siphon Divine Characters, but he was unable to do so. Finally, Long Yu found an opportunity. Just as Ching Yi was getting more and more exhausted, he flashed and sent the Nether Void Dragon Blade into his back, shattering his heart meridian. The Siphon Divine Characters are probably torture for you. Since that's the case, let me help you escape from this abyss of suffering. Long Yu sneered and put away the Nether Void Dragon Blade. Then, with a thought, he sent Qing Yi's corpse into the 7th level of the ancient Dragon Bone Tower. Qing Yi's brother would probably never have imagined that Long Yu would kill Qing Yi as soon as he left. Although Long Yu had used up most of his means, he had still managed to defeat a heavenly tribulation realm expert head-on. Of course, the martial cultivators who came to the Sun mining area to make a fortune could not be considered martial experts. If it had been the heavenly tribulation realm subordinates of Bai Qing and Tian Xinghe in Azura Valley, it would not have been so easy for Long Yu to deal with them. There's actually an Earth-grade combat weapon. Long Yu found an Earth-grade combat weapon on Qing Yi's body. It was a bracelet, but it was not meant to be used in battle. Long Yu tried to wear it on his wrist, and felt a strange power directly transmitted from the bracelet to his dantian, causing the 3 true spirits in his dantian to be strengthened one after another. So that's how it is. Although this Earth-grade combat weapon bracelet cannot be used in battle, it can strengthen one's true spirit and allow a martial cultivator to unleash more powerful laws of heaven and earth. After understanding the situation, Long Yu threw the Earth-grade combat weapon bracelet into the space of the ancient Dragon Bone Tower. Of course, the bracelet still had its uses. Long Yu did not place it on the 7th level of the ancient Dragon Bone Tower. Otherwise, if it was placed in the Siphon Divine Characters, it would become completely useless after a period of time. Not to mention Earth-grade combat weapons, even Heaven-grade combat weapons would not be able to survive if they were placed in the Siphon Divine Characters for a long period of time. Long Yu flew straight to the camp where General Huo Yuanbai was. Not long after he left, a large group of people followed a burly man in golden armor to the place where he and Qing Yi had fought. This person was one of the 4 deputies of the Nightmare Legion, Deputy General Zhou Li. The one leading Deputy General Zhou Li was Qing Yi's Tribulation Realm brother. However, when they arrived, they found that there was nothing in the sky and no aura in the mountains below. "Where is he?" The burly man, Zhou Li, looked at Qing Yi's brother with a fierce look on his face. "I don't know. I have a telepathic connection with my brother. I can clearly sense that he's here, but I don't know why I can't see him." The man's expression changed drastically. "You guys look around here. The rest of you, follow me to find General Hua. Isn't that kid one of the general's men? I'm going to ask General Hua for justice." Zhou Li snorted coldly and waved his hand, ordering his subordinates to split up. As the Deputy General of the Nightmare Legion, Zhou Li was a super expert in the 5 Dao Divinity realm. He was only 2 realms weaker than Huo Yuanbai. Even if little fatty Ren Pingfan or Princess Shu Chan were to come and fight with Zhou Li, they would not be a match for Zhou Li. Zhou Li made the arrangements. Soon, more than 10 people flew in all directions, trying to find traces of the mountain ghost in the vicinity. Even among Zhou Li's subordinates, there were existences in the Divine Ability Secret Realm. It could be said that they were more than enough to deal with Long Yu alone. Unfortunately, they couldn't find Long Yu in the vicinity. The burly Deputy General, Zhou Li, led his other subordinates and flew straight to Huo Yuanbai's camp. Along with him were the surviving member of the Condor Squad, Old Nine, and Qing Yi's brother. By now, Long Yu had arrived at Huo Yuanbai's camp and met him. After a brief explanation, Huo Yuanbai understood what had happened. "You rascal, the princess didn't send you here to cause trouble." Huo Yuanbai shook his head with a smile. "But since they're already here, you're not a man if you keep cowering. Don't worry, I know what to do. It just so happens that there's something wrong with Deputy General Zhou Li. I want to teach him a lesson." Long Yu immediately understood. He coughed and said, "General, did you send me to the Condor Squad because you knew there was something wrong with Zhou Li? Why don't you take a guess?" Huo Yuanbai smiled mysteriously. The two chatted in the room. Before long, there was a commotion outside the wooden hut. A burly man's fierce voice sounded. "General Hua, Deputy General Zhou Li is here." Many martial practitioners of the Nightmare Legion, who were stationed in the campsite nearby, looked at the situation with a strange look, and made way for them. To them, both Deputy General Zhou Li and General Hui Yuanbai were their superiors. They had no right to stop them. Hui Yuanbai casually walked out of the wooden hut in a white robe. He glanced at the sky and smiled. Zhou Li, why did you bring so many people? Long Yu did not appear because Hui Yuanbai had instructed him not to come out for the time being. If there was a need, he would be summoned. I'm here to collect a debt. The burly man Zhou Li landed in front of Hui Yuanbai with his men. He did not show any respect at all and said directly, General Hui, do you know that my nephew, Zhou Xiongliang, was killed by villains in the Sun mining area not long ago? The surrounding martial cultivators were shocked when they heard this. Everyone knew how protective Deputy General Zhou Li was of his nephew. Who in the entire Nightmare Mountains would dare to kill Zhou Xiongliang? Unless it was those fellows from the Ghost Prefecture? However, from Zhou Li's tone, he did not seem to be from the Ghost Prefecture. Could he be one of their own? Thinking of this, these people couldn't help but feel a little confused. If they were all from the Nightmare Corps or martial practitioners in the Jianghu, how could they kill Zhou Xiongliang? Zhou Xiongliang had always been under the protection of Zhou Li, and whoever offended him would not have a good ending. Zhou Xiongliang was killed by villains? Upon hearing this, Hui Yuanbai faintly chuckled, not minding Zhou Li's fierce tone in the slightest as he straightforwardly said, From what I know, it seems that Zhou Xiongliang wanted to kill someone else, but was accidentally killed by someone else. If we are talking about the villain, it should be Zhou Xiongliang himself. Zhou Li was furious when he heard Hui Yuanbai's words. General Hui, aren't you afraid of my nephew's father's wrath by shielding the murderer? You should know that Zhou Xiongliang's father is the deputy commander of the Imperial Guards of Azura Valley. His grandfather is the former Prime Minister of Azura Prefecture. When these words came out, Long Yu, who had yet to come out, finally realized how big of a disaster he had caused. He did not expect Zhou Xiongliang to have such a background. Chapter 474. Listening to Deputy General Zhou Li's words, Long Yu finally understood what Hui Yuanbai meant when he said there was something wrong with Deputy General Zhou. Despite being a deputy general, he was so arrogant in front of Hui Yuanbai and even cursed loudly. It was obvious that he didn't think much of Hui Yuanbai. Zhou Li's confidence naturally stemmed from his relationship with Zhou Xiongliang. Zhou Xiongliang's father was the vice-commander of the Azura Valley's Imperial Guards. In other words, even Shu Chan would have to greet Zhou Xiongliang's father. It must be known that the Azura Valley was the center of the entire Azura County. Zhou Xiongliang's grandfather was even more impressive. He was the former Prime Minister of Shura Prefecture. With such a relationship, Deputy General Zhou Li could act arrogantly in Shura Prefecture even though he was only a collateral relative of the Zhou family. If Zhou Xiongliang has such a background, why would he come to the Nightmare Corps and lead the Vulture team to mine? Long Yu was rather puzzled about this. Hui Yuanbai's next words quickly answered Long Yu's doubt. Facing the furious Zhou Li, Hui Yuanbai said calmly, Deputy General Zhou, since you want to use your power to oppress others, may I ask what Zhou Xiongliang's ranking among his father's sons? Deputy General Zhou Li was stunned by Hui Yuanbai's question, but he still snorted coldly. So what if he's the sixth? Could it be that, if he's ranked lower, he's not the biological son of the Imperial Army's deputy commander? Then let me ask you again. Since Zhou Xiongliang has such a status, why did the deputy commander of the Imperial Guards send him to the Nightmare Corps? Hui Yuanbai continued to ask calmly. Then, of course it's to let him come here to gain experience, Zhou Li said with a lack of confidence. Since it's training, it must be life-threatening. Why else would it be called training? If he dies in training, it can only be attributed to Zhou Xiongliang's incompetence. Hui Yuanbai spoke eloquently as he stared at Deputy General Zhou Li. Taking a step forward, 7 streams of divine realm aura erupted. Deputy General Zhou, don't you think so? Of course, Zhou Li didn't think what Hui Yuanbai said made sense. But just as he uttered the word, no, Hui Yuanbai immediately cut him off. Is there something wrong with that? Where are the other 5 sons of the deputy commander of the Imperial Army? Facing Hui Yuanbai's questioning, Zhou Li had no chance to refute. After all, Hui Yuanbai was a veteran of the battlefield. They are all training in various places. Some have even gone to the imperial city of the Tianqin dynasty, Zhou Li answered guiltily. Of the 5 of them, how many are still alive? Hui Yuanbai closed his eyes and allowed his aura to envelop Zhou Li, but he intentionally avoided looking at the latter. The eldest was killed by a noble young master in the imperial city of the Tianqin dynasty. The third was killed by the cultivators of the ghost evil county. Only the 2nd, 4th, and 5th are still alive. As Zhou Li spoke, he scolded himself for not being patient enough to let Hui Yuanbai lead him by the nose. But if he didn't go along with Hui Yuanbai might punish him on the spot. In terms of eloquence, Zhou Li and Hui Yuanbai were not on the same level. Then let me ask you again. The eldest and 3rd sons of the deputy commander of the Imperial Army were killed. Did the deputy commander avenge his sons? Hui Yuanbai opened his eyes slightly and asked. Hearing this, Zhou Li immediately felt that the situation wasn't good. But he didn't know what the problem was. He could only bite the bullet and say, no. The eldest son of the deputy commander of the Imperial Guard had been killed by a noble young master of the Tianqin dynasty. Not to mention the deputy commander of the Imperial Guard, even the Azura Duke would have to think twice if he wanted to take revenge. He would have to consider whether he could bear the consequences. And his 3rd son was killed by the cultivators of the Ghost Evil County when they were fighting against the cultivators of the Ghost Evil County. The Ghost Evil County had always been the enemy of the Azura Prefecture. If he could take revenge, the deputy commander of the Imperial Army would have done it long ago. Why would he wait until now? Since he didn't take revenge, then it's settled. The corner of Hui Yuanbai's mouth curled up. Now, his most talented son, Zhou Xiongliang, died even after coming to the Nightmare Legion to train. It's obvious that he couldn't withstand a single blow. What a disgrace to the deputy commander of the Imperial Army. Hearing this, Zhou Li's face turned green and white. General Hua, but Zhou Xiongliang was killed by a villain. That person killed him in order to snatch the green-edged diamond. How infuriating! When Zhou Li said this, he seemed to have found his own reasoning and instantly gained some confidence. However, this confidence was quickly shattered by Hui Yuanbai's next sentence. He almost put a crime on Hui Yuanbai. Hui Yuanbai narrowed his eyes and said slowly, according to what you're saying, if an outsider kills the son of the Imperial Guard's vice commander, he doesn't have to bear any responsibility, but if someone from our Shura prefecture kills him, he will be punished? What kind of logic is this? Deputy General Zhou, you're still thinking of infighting when the enemy is the Ghost Prefecture? You really have no sense of responsibility as the Deputy General of the Nightmare Legion. The martial cultivators of the Nightmare Legion looked at Zhou Li with unfriendly gazes after he said that. In the entire Nightmare Legion, Zhou Li was the Deputy General, but in reality, he had very few trusted subordinates. There were hundreds of thousands of martial cultivators in the Nightmare Legion, and most of them were Hui Yuanbai's men. What Zhou Li said today would soon spread out, and this Deputy General, Zhou Li, would become a traitor in the eyes of many martial cultivators. After all, as the Deputy General of the Nightmare Legion, Zhou Li did not deal with the people of the Ghost Evil County, but instead, he went against his own people. This was really hateful. In this way, Deputy General Zhou Li's influence in the Nightmare Legion would be further weakened. Although he was a Deputy General, he could not command the other martial cultivators. Moreover, Zhou Li had always relied on his family's power to show off in the Nightmare Legion. He did not even respect General Hui Yuanbai, so he had long planted a seed of disgust in the hearts of many martial cultivators. Hui Yuanbai's words were so blunt that Zhou Li did not know how to refute. He immediately froze on the spot. Very good. Seeing that the surrounding martial cultivators were pointing at him, Zhou Li knew that if he continued to speak, his reputation would be ruined. That would not be worth the loss. He took a deep look at Hui Yuanbai, and a trace of viciousness appeared in his eyes. In that case, I have been rude. General Hua, I will take my leave. After saying this, Zhou Li turned around and was about to leave with his men. Wait, that one stays. Hui Yuanbai did not give up. He narrowed his eyes and pointed at the remaining old 9 in the vulture troop. This caused the skinny 9th brother to jump in fright. What did Hui Yuanbai want to do by keeping him here alone? Zhou Li was very clear about Hui Yuanbai's intention of keeping old 9, but he had no reason to stop him. Soon, old 9 stayed in Hui Yuanbai's camp under the threat of 2 martial cultivators. Don't be nervous. Come to me. Hui Yuanbai smiled faintly at number 9 and waved. General Hua. When old 9 saw Deputy General Zhou Li, he felt uneasy. After all, he had gone to report Zhou Xiongliang's death. It was not good news. Now that he saw Hui Yuanbai, although he did not need to be afraid of anything, the thought of a certain possibility made his heart beat faster. What if Hui Yuanbai wanted him to tell the truth in order to resolve the matter of Zhou Xiongliang's death? What should he do? Of course, old 9 knew the truth. It must be that Deng Yuanbai could not help but make a move to snatch the green-edged diamond from that kid. But if he told the truth, even the Deputy General of the Imperial Army would not have a reason to avenge his son. In that case, old 9 would become a thorn in the side of Zhou Li and the Deputy General of the Imperial Army. After all, he was the only survivor of the vulture troop. He was the most qualified to speak, and his words carried the most weight. Old 9 walked up to Hui Yuanbai with his head lowered, not daring to look at him. Everyone calls you old 9, right? Hui Yuanbai smiled and patted his shoulder. I asked you to stay so you can tell the truth about Zhou Xiongliang's death. Don't be nervous. No matter what you say, I won't blame you. He actually asked old 9 this question in front of him. Old 9 was at a loss. If he told everyone that it was Zhou Xiongliang's fault, wouldn't he offend Zhou Li and the Deputy General of the Imperial Army? If he insisted on standing on Deputy General Zhou Li's side, would Hui Yuanbai fall out with him on the spot? After all, Zhou Li was definitely not Hui Yuanbai's match, and Hui Yuanbai's status in the entire Shura prefecture was no less than that of the Deputy General of the Imperial Army. Old 9 did not have the courage to lie to Hui Yuanbai. Why aren't you saying anything? Hui Yuanbai looked at the nervous old 9, his eyes gleaming. Just tell me the truth. I won't blame you no matter what. If you're worried that you'll offend someone, I, Hui Yuanbai, can give you a guarantee that you won't be targeted by those people. How about that? Hui Yuanbai's guarantee was probably well known in the entire Shura prefecture. This old general was the pillar of Shura prefecture that had fought against the martial cultivators of Ghost prefecture for decades. His words had always carried weight. When the 9th brother heard this, he didn't hesitate at all and recounted what had happened at that time. I'm not too sure about what happened before, but I followed Boss Zhou into the mine after he sensed the aura of the green-edged diamond. I didn't see Deng Yuanbai and the other 4. Then, Boss Zhou told us to kill that mountain ghost, little brother mountain ghost. Old 9 said, I didn't expect little brother mountain ghost to be so much stronger than the human tribulation realm he appeared to be. Even Boss Zhou, who was at the Heaven Flower realm, was killed by him in a few moves. I took advantage of the chaos to escape. In other words, Zhou Xiongliang wanted to kill mountain ghost, right? Hui Yuanbai narrowed his eyes. That's right. Chapter 475. When old Jiu revealed the truth, the surrounding martial cultivators came to a realization. As expected, Zhou Xiongliang was not a good person to begin with. It was normal for him to be killed for trying to snatch the cyan-edged diamond. Under such circumstances, Zhou Xiongliang would have died in vain. Most importantly, the mountain ghost was General Hu Yuanbai's subordinate. A young man favored by General Hu Yuanbai would not have a problem with his character. Since you've revealed the truth, then there's no problem. Hu Yuanbai smiled when he heard old Jiu's words. From today onwards, you will stay by my side temporarily. Help me tidy up the refining materials. Anyone who wants to touch you will have to get my permission first. By saying that, Hu Yuanbai had kept his promise to protect Lao Jiu from the Zhou family's revenge. Long Yu hid in Hu Yuanbai's wooden house and watched Hu Yuanbai's handling of the matter. He could not help but sigh at the general's rich experience in handling matters. He had almost solved such a troublesome matter in a few moves. Next, Long Yu and Hu Yuanbai did not need to do anything. The news of Zhou Xiongliang's murder would spread throughout the entire Nightmare Mountain range. All the martial cultivators in the Nightmare Army would know about it. After all, this was not a small matter. In this way, Long Yu and Hu Yuanbai would be in a position of reason. Even if the deputy commander of the Imperial Guards in Azura Valley wanted to avenge his son, he would have to weigh the weight of Hu Yuanbai and the entire Nightmare Army. Thank you, General Hua. I will definitely do my best and not let you down. Old Jiu could not help but be excited when he heard that Hu Yuanbai wanted him to follow him. General Hu Yuanbai could be said to be the military god of the entire Azura prefecture. Countless people worshipped him. How could anyone have the chance to follow him? Although it was just helping him tidy up the refining materials, even if Hu Yuanbai gave him some pointers on martial arts, he would definitely benefit greatly. He might even be able to break through the bottleneck of martial arts. Enough with the nonsense. Right, that's where my weaponry refining platform is located. In the backyard of the weaponry refining platform, there are a lot of weaponry refining materials. Go and sort them out for me. After you're done, come see me here. Hu Yuanbai smiled and pointed at the wooden hut where he refined weapons, then had Old Nine run over. Old Jiu happily ran over. Although he was doing hard labor, he was willing to do it. This was much better than working hard with Zhou Xiongliang to dig for ores. Hu Yuanbai glanced at Hu Jiu's retreating back before turning to enter the house. Long Yu and Hu Yuanbai sat facing each other. General Hua, I didn't expect you to handle things so decisively. Long Yu couldn't help but praise. If I didn't do things quickly, those bastards from the Ghost Evil County would have already attacked. Hu Yuanbai smiled and shook his head. Little Long, you don't have to thank me. This Deputy General Zhou Li has been coveting my position as the General of the Nightmare Legion because he's from the Zhou family. Although I can give up the position, Zhou Li doesn't have the guts. If I hand the Nightmare Legion over to him, I'm afraid that the bastards from the Ghost Evil County will attack us soon. Long Yu nodded, finally understanding Hu Yuanbai's meaning. No wonder Deputy General Zhou Li was so disrespectful to Hu Yuanbai. It turned out that he wanted to usurp the position. In that case, the entire Zhou family was not a good person. They had all fallen into the vortex of power. If there's a suitable successor, I would like to leave this place and live a peaceful life for a while. Or, I can follow the regional king and see if I can break through to the Emperor Path secret realm in my lifetime. Hu Yuanbai sighed as he spoke, looking rather melancholic. When Long Yu saw this, he immediately laughed. General, on the path of the martial Dao, one must have an imposing manner that pushes forward without hesitation. Although I'm only at the human tribulation realm, I know that if I worry about gains and losses when breaking through the bottleneck of the martial Dao, the chances of failure are high. Hu Yuanbai's eyes lit up when he heard this. Little brat, you're right. Hu Yuanbai's eyes suddenly flickered. On the path of the martial Dao, breaking through bottlenecks is mostly a matter of mentality. Now that I think of myself as old, I'm only trying to face the bottleneck with the mentality of giving it a try. How can I succeed? Ha ha, ha ha. All of a sudden, Hui Yuanbai's spirit seemed to have been lifted. Originally, Hui Yuanbai's spirit came from his position as the general of the Nightmare Legion and not from a martial Dao powerhouse. However, Long Yu's simple words made Hui Yuanbai realize that there was something wrong with his mentality. If he did not have confidence in breaking through the bottleneck of the martial Dao, how could he really succeed? The heavy responsibility of leading the entire Nightmare Mountain range was on Hui Yuanbai's shoulders. He had been focused on this for so long that he had almost forgotten that he was a martial Dao powerhouse. I didn't expect the princess to bring me such a talent, haha. Hui Yuanbai looked at Long Yu with eyes full of admiration and said, Long Yu, although you killed Zhou Xiongliang and offended the deputy commander of the Azura Valley's Imperial Guard, you don't need to worry. You're the princess's subordinate, so it won't be easy for the deputy commander to touch you. Of course, it's still possible for him to plot against you. You have to be careful. When Long Yu heard this, he laughed bitterly. This time, because I offended some unknown person, I was schemed against and forced into the valley where the Azura Holy Tree is located. Fortunately, I managed to hold on for 9 days and didn't die. That's why the princess let me hide my identity and send me here. Azura Sacred Tree? Good kid, you managed to survive for 9 days in that place. Hui Yuanbai was shocked. It seems that my estimation of your strength wasn't accurate enough. Luck. I found a broken desolate grade combat weapon. I should be safe hiding in it. Long Yu smiled. He had already displayed the ancient dragon skeleton tower to the heavenly tribulation martial cultivators who were chasing him. He believed that others would soon find out about it. Since that was the case, there was no need to hide it from Hui Yuanbai. After all, Hui Yuanbai had just helped him solve a huge problem. If Long Yu were to face Zhou Li, he would definitely be crushed by the latter's pinky. That's impressive enough. There are only a few desolate-grade combat weapons in the entire Azura prefecture. Hui Yuanbai patted Long Yu's shoulder and laughed. If you don't mind, you can let me have a look at the combat weapon. I've refined a heaven-grade combat weapon before, so I'm quite interested in seeing a desolate-grade combat weapon. Perhaps I can repair it for you? Hearing that, Long Yu could not afford to be stingy. With a thought, he activated the 9 underworlds dragon scale and released the ancient dragon skeleton pagoda. However, it did not grow in size. Instead, it floated before them like a miniature pagoda. This is the desolate-grade combat weapon? Hui Yuanbai frowned slightly when he sensed a different aura from the combat weapon. It does seem powerful. Unfortunately, I've never seen a combat weapon like this before. I'm afraid I won't be able to repair it. Not only that, I've never seen the material of this combat weapon before. It's sturdier than the best material I've ever seen. I only found it by chance. Long Yu shook his head. Forget it, put it away. Hui Yuanbai shook his head. It seems that a grand desolate level warrior is not something that can be produced easily. Not only are the materials hard to come by, but the craftsmanship is also very advanced. Also, the craftsmanship has to be in the right place at the right time. Long Yu put away the ancient dragon bone pagoda and did not say anything. By the way, Long Yu, the princess said to leave you here for 2 months. You've only just arrived, and you've already caused trouble. I'm afraid it won't be easy from now on. Hui Yuanbai pondered for a moment before he suddenly said, By the way, why don't you go to the Ghost Evil Prefecture and kill some of their martial cultivators? That way, you'll have made a great contribution. It's best if you can get a reward from the regional king through the princess. General, please tell me the purpose of this. Long Yu asked with a frown. Isn't that obvious? If your contribution attracts the attention of the regional king, then the Zhou clan won't dare to do anything to you, not even in the dark. Hui Yuanbai laughed. I rarely admire others in my life, but our regional king is one of them. He's in charge of Shura province, and he pays the most attention to protecting martial cultivators. If you catch the regional king's attention, you'll be safe, unless they want to offend the regional king. But in the entire Shura province, no one would dare to offend the regional king. I see. Long Yu nodded slowly. However, General, it won't be easy to kill the martial cultivators of the Ghost Evil Prefecture, right? Plus, I'm only at the human tribulation realm. I heard that the martial cultivators of the Ghost Evil Prefecture are all cunning. They won't be easy to deal with. That's why I sent you. If you succeed, it'll be a great contribution. If there's no danger, why would you attract the regional king's attention? Hu Yuanbai looked at Long Yu and chuckled. I see that your dagger is of good quality. It's even stronger than the ancient pagoda you showed me earlier. If you use it with an assassination technique, even a tribulation realm martial cultivator won't be able to stop you. General can teach me assassination techniques? Long Yu's eyes lit up. He didn't expect Hu Yuanbai to understand him so well in such a short time. He also didn't expect Hu Yuanbai to know that Long Yu lacked an assassination technique. The demonic slaughter technique is a common assassination technique used by our Nightmare Legion. Although it's only a high-grade profound rank, it's easy to understand and learn. Hu Yuanbai smiled faintly. Ordinary Sky Realm martial cultivators only need 7 days to get started with the demonic slaughter art. For you, I believe the time will be even shorter. A high-grade profound rank technique is enough. Long Yu's eyes lit up. The penetrating power of the Void Underworld Dragon Blade was already strong enough. What he lacked the most now was a technique to use the Void Underworld Dragon Blade. Chapter 476. After all, using a high-grade black-level skill was much stronger than not using it at all. As long you mastered the demonic centipede kill art, he would definitely be able to unleash at least twice the power of the Nether Dragon Blade, or even more. Originally, there were many restrictions when he used the Nether Dragon Blade to attack. After all, he had to get close to his opponent to attack, and the danger he faced was much greater. However, if he cultivated the demonic centipede kill art, he might be able to overcome these restrictions and the danger it brought. The demonic centipede kill art was a common assassination skill in the Nightmare Legion. Although most people could cultivate it, very few were proficient in it. Apart from Hu Yuanbai, there was only one professional assassination team in the Nightmare Legion that was truly proficient in this move. Learn this move from me. If you can achieve initial success, you'll be able to unleash the most crucial characteristic of the demonic centipede kill art. While assassinating, you'll be able to protect yourself to the greatest extent. Hu Yuanbai threw out a bamboo slip and explained, once you've comprehended the demonic centipede kill art to initial success, you can borrow the power of the laws of heaven and earth to condense your own afterimages. As for the number of afterimages condensed, it depends on your talent. With the afterimages, the probability of your actual body encountering danger will be much lower. For example, like this. As soon as Hu Yuanbai finished speaking, he split into 7. One Hu Yuanbai's original body and 6 afterimages appeared in front of Long Yu. This scene made Long Yu's eyes widen. Upon closer inspection, he realized that each of the afterimages was extremely real and could not be distinguished at all. When you truly learn this move, you'll know which of the afterimages you want to be the real one. Whenever you're in danger, you can use these afterimages to change your position. Hu Yuanbai said with a smile. In that case, the demonic centipede kill art is not weak, but why is it only high-grade black level? Long Yu was puzzled. Because this is a simplified version of the demonic centipede kill art. It's used for the common cultivation of the Nightmare Legion. The real move is an incomplete desolate grade martial skill that I obtained in the past. Hu Yuanbai shook his head with some regret. Based on my understanding of martial skills and the laws of heaven and earth, I simplified this high-grade profound rank assassination technique. However, it is extremely difficult to bring out the true power of this technique. With a thought, Long Yu asked, "What is the name of this great desolate grade martial technique?" "Primordial Shadow Kill," Hui Yuanbai said, "but I only have the upper half, so I can only cultivate it to the pinnacle. It would be impossible for him to reach the consummate, transcendent or transcendent. If you want to see it, I can show it to you." "Yes." Long Yu nodded. His eyes were burning with passion. A great desolate level martial skill. This was a terrifying martial skill on the same level as the Dark Dragon 9 explosions. Moreover, it was an assassination martial skill. "But don't be greedy," Hui Yuanbai reminded. "I once let two good friends practice this primordial shadow kill. But in the end, they went berserk from practicing this martial skill and committed suicide. Although I don't know the reason, but Dragon Boy, it's best if you don't practice this martial skill. The high-grade profound rank demonic centipede kill art is just right for you." When Long Yu heard this, he slightly nodded his head. "Yes, I'm just taking a look." Although he said that, Long Yu could not help but feel excited. It was good to see more of a great desolate level martial skill. If he looked more, he could increase his understanding of the martial skill's principles. It would only be beneficial to Long Yu. If he really could not practice it, he could at most not practice it. Soon, two bamboo slips with assassination martial skills appeared in front of Long Yu. One of them was the demonic centipede kill art, while the other looked ancient. There were some special patterns carved on it. This was the great desolate level martial skill that Hui Yuanbai had obtained a long time ago, the primordial shadow kill. Among the great desolate level items, pills were naturally the least valuable, followed by combat weapons and martial skills. In other words, martial skills were the most valuable among items of the same level. A great desolate level martial skill was even more valuable than an ancient combat weapon. Unfortunately, the primordial shadow kill art was incomplete. It could even cause one to go berserk and commit suicide after practicing it. Long Yu first looked at the demonic centipede kill art. He realized that this high-grade profound rank martial skill was indeed easy to understand. If he were to practice it, he could definitely reach beginner level in 3 days, and minor mastery in 7 days. He then started to look at the primordial shadow kill art. When he looked at the words recorded on the broken bamboo slip, he realized that he could not understand them. Furthermore, each of the words was extremely profound, as if they contained some kind of mysterious power. There was only half of the bamboo slip, and the cracks were clearly visible. The other half was nowhere to be found, and Hui Yuanbai only had this half of the bamboo slip. Primordial shadow kill. These words appeared in Long Yu's mind as he looked at the bamboo slip. It seemed like the name of this martial skill was not something that Hui Yuanbai had seen, but had somehow appeared in his mind. After a while, Long Yu finally saw some changes. The words on the bamboo slip that he could not understand suddenly turned into pictures in his mind, allowing him to understand the meaning behind them. How magical! Long Yu could not help but sigh. The bamboo slip that recorded a desolate rank martial skill was indeed different from the others. It did not use words to teach the martial skill, but instead used words to influence one's heart, allowing Long Yu to understand the meaning of the words. In this way, no matter how long it was passed down, and how many years later cultivators obtained it, they would still be able to understand what was recorded. Long Yu felt the picture that the bamboo slip projected in his mind, and soon had a rough idea of the cultivation method of the primordial shadow kill. However, remembering Hui Yuanbai's words, he did not rashly give it a try. After all, this was an extremely dangerous thing. Even if Long Yu had a trump card, who knew if it would be able to deal with the hidden dangers of this martial skill? If it failed, then he would be finished. Long Yu would not take such a huge risk, mainly because there was no need to. Unfortunately, it's incomplete. Long Yu felt that it was a pity, and his consciousness was about to leave the bamboo slip. However, at this moment, he suddenly felt a familiar force in his chest, which suddenly surged into his mind. It's the Archean consciousness. Long Yu's expression changed greatly. He could feel that the force that surged into his mind was the Archean consciousness from the 9 underworld dragon. Could it be that the Archean consciousness was trying to fight with him for control of his body again? However, Long Yu soon discovered that this was not the case. When the Archean consciousness entered Long Yu's mind, Long Yu's observation of the primordial shadow kill in his mind suddenly became clearer, and words that did not appear on the bamboo slip surfaced in Long Yu's mind. It's complete? Long Yu was stunned. The Archean consciousness hidden in the netherworld dragon blade had actually completed the missing part of the primordial shadow kill. This was truly a miraculous discovery. After observing the complete version of the primordial shadow kill, Long Yu finally discovered the explanation on the cultivation note of this martial skill. Cultivating this martial skill required extremely strong mental fortitude and willpower, as well as special conditions. This was because after cultivating this martial skill, there would be a formless turbid aura surrounding one's body. When there was a sufficient amount of turbid aura, it would affect one's mind, and it was not impossible for one to die suddenly. This is the truth behind the deaths of General Hua's 2 friends. Long Yu's heart skipped a beat. In the cultivation note that the Archean consciousness had completed, it also explained how to restrain the formation of the turbid aura. The best way was to comprehend some kind of divine text that specialized in absorbing power and specify that it was the power of the divine text, not even the power of laws. Secondly, if one could find a relatively cool sacred ground that could cleanse one's body of the turbid aura, it would not be a problem to cultivate this martial skill. However, such a sacred ground was not easy to find. The siphon divine text should be able to absorb the turbid aura, right? Long Yu's eyes lit up. Wasn't this tailor-made for him? After receiving the confirmation from the Archean consciousness, Long Yu became excited. A great desolate martial skill was not something that could be found anywhere. Most importantly, he discovered that the Archean consciousness hidden in the nether void dragon dagger had the miraculous ability to complete martial skills. Although he was surprised, it was still a good thing. Very quickly, his consciousness withdrew from the bamboo slip and lifted his head to smile at Huo Yuanbai. Thank you for sharing it, General. You're welcome. You can cultivate here for a period of time. Once you've comprehended the demonic slaughter art, you can go find some martial cultivators in the Ghost Evil County to kill. Huo Yuanbai smiled. Now that Zhou Xiongliang is dead, his father, who is still in Azura Valley, will definitely send someone to deal with it. But that will only happen a few days later. You can use this time to cultivate. Long Yu nodded. He knew what Huo Yuanbai meant. He didn't want him to meet the vice commander of the Imperial Army. Otherwise, the vice commander would kill him immediately. There were still 2 months left. It was best to go out and kill some martial cultivators in the Ghost Evil County. It would be best if he could obtain important information or kill some important figures in the Ghost Evil County. This way, Long Yu would have made a great contribution. With the protection of the Azura Prefecture King, even the vice commander of the Imperial Army would not dare to touch him, be it in the open or in the dark. Huo Yuanbai did not know that Long Yu wanted to comprehend the ancient desolate shadow kill, but he would find out soon. Chapter 477. In Huo Yuanbai's camp, Long Yu started to comprehend the ancient desolate shadow kill. Although the demonic slaughter art was easier to comprehend, who would be stupid enough to learn a simplified version of a low-ranked martial skill when there was a complete high-ranked martial skill available? Furthermore, Long Yu had his own ways to overcome the flaws of the ancient desolate shadow kill. The simplified version of the demonic slaughter art required one to comprehend it to minor perfection before one could condense an afterimage, allowing one to freely switch between the afterimages. However, the true ancient desolate shadow kill only required a beginner to learn it. The essence of the ancient desolate shadow kill lay in the word shadow. Afterimages were the essence of the ancient desolate shadow kill. If one could cultivate the ancient desolate shadow kill to a higher level, one would be able to control the afterimages to do more things. Simply put, this was a martial skill that controlled afterimages. Learning to condense an afterimage was naturally the most basic of the basics. With the help of the immemorial consciousness, Long Yu's comprehension speed was naturally not slow. Just like the 9 underworld dragon seal, the void underworld dragon blade seemed to contain all the functions of the 9 underworld dragon seal. One of them was to increase Long Yu's comprehension speed. In just 3 days, Long Yu was able to successfully condense an ancient desolate afterimage. Long Yu stood alone in the yard of the camp. He smiled as he looked at the ancient desolate shadow that looked exactly like him. Not only did the primordial shadow look exactly the same as his actual body, but even the aura it emitted was exactly the same as well. Release drunken yellow springs for me. With a thought, the ancient desolate shadow in front of Long Yu threw a punch at his body. The netherworld chi instantly spread out and formed the yellow springs path, as if it was trying to envelop Long Yu. Long Yu did not block. He wanted to see if his ancient desolate shadow was truly offensive. Very soon, he was sure that the ancient desolate shadow was no different from his body. The only difference was that the body was controlling it. Long Yu was knocked into the yellow springs by the ancient desolate phantom's fist. He was also in a sorry state. However, he managed to block the fist with the yellow springs barrier. His face was filled with excitement. This primordial afterimage is practically a duplicate of me. Now that I can form a primordial afterimage, my combat strength has doubled. If I can launch a pincer attack with the afterimage, I'll definitely be able to defeat even a heavenly tribulation realm expert. Long Yu's eyes flickered. This ancient desolate shadow kill was indeed a great desolate grade martial technique. In comparison, the devil corpse killing art that Long Yu saw Huiyuanbai display wasn't as powerful. Although the 6 desolate dead shadows looked like his body, was Yang Long to Huiyuanbai Hun Long he was Yu Hun drunk, martial Yang, Long Yang Chun and dead Yu martial Su. Unlike the ancient desolate shadow that Long Yu condensed, the power of the martial technique was exactly the same as the body. Moreover, the ancient desolate shadow's effect wasn't limited to just that. With a thought, Long Yu tried to switch, only to find his vision turning black. He then shifted his consciousness to the ancient desolate shadow. No, it's not a shift of consciousness. Rather, the ancient desolate shadow kill and the body have switched directions through the nether void dragon blade's spatial power. Very quickly, Long Yu understood what was going on. It seemed that if he wanted to comprehend the ancient desolate shadow kill, he would need the assistance of spatial force. Otherwise, what he learned would be an incomplete ancient desolate shadow kill. Of course, Long Yu didn't comprehend spatial power, but it wasn't a big deal for the experts of Azura province. For example, Huiyuanbai and his 2 friends who died cultivating the ancient desolate shadow kill. In the Shen Wu world, many martial artists have mastered spatial power. If a weapon refiner has mastered spatial power, they can create spatial weapons that can store items. Spatial weapons that can store items are rare on the Heavenly Mandate Island, but there are more than 100 of them, not to mention the entire Azura province and the Shen Wu world. Therefore, spatial power isn't much in the Shen Wu world. Among the over 9,000 laws of heaven and earth, there are many spatial laws. Not to mention the divine script, there is a specific type of divine script that has the spatial attribute. With the Nether Void Dragon Blade, Long Yu didn't need to comprehend spatial power to perform the ancient desolate shadow kill. This was his advantage. In just 3 days, Long Yu had comprehended the ancient desolate shadow kill to beginner level. It was about time for him to leave. With this technique, I don't need to be too afraid of martial artists from the Ghost Evil province in the Nightmare Mountain range. But if there are Mystery Realm opponents, I still need to avoid them. Long Yu thought to himself. In these 3 days, Huiyuanbai often watched him cultivate and naturally found out that he wasn't cultivating the demonic centipede art, but the ancient desolate shadow kill. Although he didn't know that Long Yu could solve the drawbacks of the ancient desolate shadow kill, but seeing Long Yu practice the ancient desolate shadow kill, he was quite pleased. Although Huiyuanbai previously tried to persuade Long Yu to cultivate the demonic centipede art, if he really thought so, he wouldn't have taken out the bamboo scroll. This old general was clearly trying to tempt Long Yu to learn the ancient desolate shadow kill. After all, this was a grand desolate level martial art. His 2 friends had died to this martial art, which made him extremely regretful. Now, he really wanted to see this martial art shine. If something were to happen to Long Yu while cultivating this martial art, it had nothing to do with Huiyuanbai. After all, Huiyuanbai didn't let Long Yu learn it in the first place. Instead, he was trying to persuade Long Yu to cultivate the demonic centipede art. This was more or less self-deceiving, but it also made Huiyuanbai feel guilty towards Long Yu. In these 3 days, he had purposely forged an earth-level defensive weapon for Long Yu. Be careful when you go deeper into the Nightmare Mountain range. I've recorded the techniques that the martial artists from the Ghost Evil province often use in this bamboo scroll. You must take a good look. Before Long Yu left, Huiyuanbai handed a bamboo scroll and a silver metal lock to Long Yu. This is an earth-level high-grade defensive weapon I've forged for you. I haven't named it yet, so pick one yourself. The main material is bright silver, and I've added quite a few green diamonds. Just its toughness alone can withstand the strongest attack of a divinity realm expert. Bright silver and green diamonds. Long Yu's eyes lit up. Having worked in the sun mining area, he naturally knew what bright silver and green diamonds were. The gray metal walls he'd seen in the mine were called gray silver. Even a heavenly tribulation realm martial artist would have to spend a lot of effort to destroy them. Bright silver, on the other hand, was a metal even tougher than gray silver. According to Huiyuanbai, a divinity realm martial artist wouldn't be able to destroy bright silver with a single blow. Not to mention, Huiyuanbai had added green diamonds to the silver metal lock, which increased its toughness by several times. It was only natural that it could withstand the strongest attack of a divinity realm expert. However, this was only the main body of the silver metal lock. Long Yu took the bamboo scroll and the metal lock. Let's call it Silver Prism Lock. It didn't matter what the combat weapon was called. Many of the combat weapons Long Yu possessed were just random names he'd come up with. There was no standard to speak of. Initially, the Silver Prism Lock was only the size of Long Yu's palm. Such a small lock naturally couldn't protect Long Yu's entire body. He could only channel his mystical chi into the combat weapon to activate the weapon refinement formation within. Then, the Silver Prism Lock would be able to spread out a light barrier to block attacks for Long Yu. After all, it was a high-grade Earth-rank defensive combat weapon, and the weapon refinement formation within it was of a very high level. The light barrier it could activate could at least withstand the attack of a heavenly tribulation realm martial artist. As for a divinity realm expert's attack, it wouldn't be that easy to block. Of course, as Long Yu's martial realm increased, the defensive capabilities of the combat weapon he could activate would also become stronger. If Huiyuanbai wielded this combat weapon, the light barrier he could activate would be able to withstand a full-powered attack from at least 7 divinity realm experts. The power of a combat weapon depended on its wielder's martial realm. For the current Long Yu, the most important thing was to increase his martial Dao realm. As for other things, such as martial skills, battle weapons, etc., he already had very high-grade treasures. General Huo, wait. Long Yu smiled when he heard that Huiyuanbai had added some cyan prismatic diamond to the silver prism lock. He then took out a fist-sized cyan prismatic diamond from his storage space. "General, I found this cyan prismatic diamond when I was mining. I'll give it to you now. You're a weaponsmith, so it'll be much more useful to you than to me." Hu Yuanbai was stunned when he saw the fist-sized cyan prismatic diamond in Long Yu's hand. This, Hu Yuanbai pointed at the cyan prismatic diamond, his eyes almost popping out of their sockets. "Is this really a cyan prismatic diamond? Why is it so big?" "General Hu, feel free to take a look and see if it's real." Puzzled, Long Yu tossed the cyan prismatic diamond to Hu Yuanbai. Hu Yuanbai caught the cyan prismatic diamond excitedly. "Not bad, kid. Such a big cyan prismatic diamond has never appeared even in our Nightmare Legion's mines. This can be used to forge a combat weapon. It's definitely a heaven upper rank or above." Long Yu was surprised. He didn't expect a fist-sized cyan prismatic diamond to be so useful. It could be used to forge a heaven upper rank combat weapon. Of course, this was only limited to small combat weapons like the silver prism lock. It was wishful thinking to use a cyan prismatic diamond to forge a combat weapon with defensive armor. Chapter 478. After much persuasion, Long Yu finally allowed Hu Yuanbai to take the fist-sized green-edged diamond. However, Hu Yuanbai said that it was a huge gift that was much more valuable than the silver lock he gave to Long Yu. He would definitely return the favor to Long Yu if he had the chance. Long Yu did not say much. Since Hu Yuanbai did not want to owe him a favor, it was not a bad thing for him to get more benefit. Immediately after, Long Yu bid farewell to Hu Yuanbai and Ren Pingfan and prepared to head into the depths of the Nightmare Mountains alone. Ren Pingfan had wanted to tag along, but Long Yu had his own plans and it would be inconvenient for Ren Pingfan to tag along. Hence, he rejected the latter's suggestion. "You must be careful when you're alone in the depths of the Nightmare Mountains. If anything happens, I won't be able to save you even if I wanted to. If that happens, the princess will definitely kill me," Ren Pingfan said with a tearful face. "Don't worry, I won't die that easily." Long Yu chuckled. "I'll be leaving first. I'll set off at night in case someone follows me." Ren Pingfan reminded him again. After a long time, Long Yu was finally able to leave Hu Yuanbai's campsite. Before leaving, Long Yu took out a thumb-sized green-edged diamond and gave it to Ren Pingfan. The fatty was so grateful that he burst into tears. This was an extremely precious item and was one of the top materials for weapon refinement in the entire Shura prefecture. Under the night sky, Long Yu soared through the air alone, flying towards the depths of the Devil Nightmare Mountain range. He was not too worried about his safety on this trip. After all, he had the Dragon Bone Ancient Pagoda that could save his life at critical moments. Unless a super expert from the Emperor Path Mystic Realm intervened, no one could do anything to Long Yu. What he was more worried about was whether he would be able to earn enough credit. Regardless of whether it was killing the martial cultivators of the Ghost Evil County or obtaining enough important information, both were extremely difficult for Long Yu. It would not be easy to achieve them. Luckily, he had 2 months of time, so he would definitely be able to plan properly. Long Yu did not have a good impression of the Guixia prefecture. The martial arts practitioners of the Ghost Evil County had come to the Shura County for no reason and captured Lu Yuan's parents on Heavenly Mandate Island. They had also planted a hell demon seed in Lu Yuan's father, Lu Qing, in an attempt to control everyone on Heavenly Mandate Island. Long Yu no longer had a good impression of the people from the Ghost Evil County. Someone is following me. Long Yu flew through the night sky, purposely moving through a secluded area with no one around. However, he did not expect that he would still feel someone following him from behind. At this moment, Long Yu was about 4,000 to 5,000 zhang away from Hu Yuanbai's camp. If a battle were to break out, Hu Yuanbai would definitely not be able to rush to his aid. "Since you killed my brother, I'll make you pay with your life." A ruthless roar rang out from the darkness behind him. Following that, Long Yu felt a tyrannical pressure enveloping his body with a loud bang. This tyrannical pressure definitely belonged to a powerhouse in the heavenly tribulation realm. Coupled with what the other party had said, Long Yu immediately understood the other party's identity. It's one of the two martial arts practitioners guarding me. Qingyi died in my hands. I didn't expect this person to choose to stay near the camp and wait for me to come out. Long Yu's expression changed slightly. Then, the shadow wings appeared and a burst of shadow qi erupted, directly dispersing the other party's tyrannical pressure by more than half. Long Yu's speed returned to normal as he rapidly flew forward. However, another silhouette appeared in front of him very quickly. This silhouette was wielding a long sword, and a pair of butterfly-like multicolored wings flapped continuously behind his back, appearing extremely strange. The target has appeared. This person was actually also a powerhouse in the heavenly tribulation realm. Judging from his attire, he should not be from the Nightmare Legion. The corner of his mouth curled up slightly. He looked at Long Yu as if he was looking at a fat sheep. Working together to kill me? Long Yu immediately knew that the other party was lying in ambush here to kill him. At this moment, who in the Nightmare Mountain Range would want Long Yu's life the most? Without a doubt, it was Deputy General Zoli. He had sent people to keep an eye on the surroundings. Once Long Yu appeared, they would attack and kill him. This could be said to be the safest place to launch a sneak attack. As long as no powerhouse in the Divine Ability Secret Realm appeared, it would not attract the attention of the nearby Huiyuanbai. Why would they need powerhouses in the Divine Ability Secret Realm to deal with a human tribulation realm kid? Zoli did not think too much about it. Even with Qing Yi's brother's reminder, he only sent 4 or 5 heavenly tribulation realm martial arts practitioners. In this way, would they make a mistake when dealing with a mere human tribulation realm kid? Hovering in the air, Long Yu saw a total of 6 heavenly tribulation realm experts appear one after another and surround him. Right in front of them was a skinny man with a long sword in his hand and a pair of multicolored butterfly wings on his back. He seemed to be the leader of this group of people. He looked at Long Yu with slight disdain and said, "A human tribulation realm brat actually wants us to mobilize 5 people. What a waste. However, since the Deputy General has paid the price, we should do our job properly. Don't let this brat escape." Apart from Qing Yi's brother, these 5 people seemed to be from a certain organization. At this moment, they were hired by Deputy General Zoli to kill Long Yu. Long Yu was not surprised. Zoli's reputation in the Nightmare Legion was not good. As long as someone still wanted his position as Deputy General, it was impossible for them to send people from the Nightmare Legion to kill him. They could only hire someone else. It just so happened that there were many martial arts practitioners in the mining area of the Nightmare Mountain Range. Zoli only needed to pay some money, and he could easily hire a group of people to deal with Long Yu. At this moment, Qing Yi's brother quickly caught up from behind and surrounded Long Yu with the other 5 heavenly tribulation realm experts. Long Yu narrowed his eyes. Given the current situation, although he could use the ancient dragon bone tower to escape, it was a little too useless to use it right after he set off. What would he do if he reached the Ghost Evil Prefecture? 6 heavenly tribulation realm experts. I want to see how many I can handle with my current strength. A cold light flashed in Long Yu's eyes. If it was just 1 heavenly tribulation realm expert, or even 2 heavenly tribulation realm experts, they wouldn't pose any threat to Long Yu. But now, 6 people had appeared to join forces to kill him. No experts of the sacred ability realm appeared. Long Yu probably knew that they were afraid of attracting the attention of Huiyuanbai, who was not far away. As for those who did not reach the sacred ability realm, at this distance, Huiyuanbai would not be able to sense them. Long Yu did not think that he had the ability to fight 6 people alone. Therefore, his priority was to kill 1 or 2 of them first. When the 6 people closed in on Long Yu with boiling killing intent, Long Yu's lips curled up slightly. The profound chi in his body immediately whistled out. Ancient desolate shadow kill afterimage appear. An afterimage that was exactly the same as him instantly appeared in front of him. Immediately after, it flew down into the forest below and used the dragon sparrow instant flash. Its speed surprised the 6 heavenly tribulation realm martial arts practitioners. You too go after the one below. When the man with butterfly wings saw this, he narrowed his eyes and ordered his 2 subordinates. This is the Nightmare Legion's martial technique, Demon Nightmare Kill Art. The afterimage can be switched with the main body. Don't let him escape. After saying this, 2 martial arts practitioners, one fat and one skinny, immediately chased after the ancient desolate shadow. As for the remaining 4 people, they immediately attacked Long Yu. The man with the butterfly wings condensed a burst of lightning on his sword with a thought. It formed a bolt of lightning that swept towards Long Yu at an extremely fast speed. Switch. When faced with the 4 people's joint attack, Long Yu naturally used the Void Nether Dragon Blade's spatial power to switch places with the ancient desolate shadow as quickly as possible. This way, his main body would only have to face 2 heavenly tribulation realm experts, while his afterimage would have to face 4 heavenly tribulation realm experts. The main body was mainly used to kill the enemy, while the afterimage was used to delay the opponent. When Long Yu saw the fat and skinny martial arts practitioners charging at him with long whips, he immediately turned around and threw 2 punches in succession. Awakening Samsara Palm, drunk lying in the Yellow Springs, the Netherworld Chi spread out, and the Yellow Springs Spirit and the Yellow Springs Path appeared one after another in an attempt to restrain the 2 martial arts practitioners. Unfortunately, due to the huge difference in their martial Dao realms, Long Yu's 2 martial techniques could no longer completely restrain the other party. They could only slow down the other party slightly. Immediately after, black snowflakes fell from all directions. When the dark sky snow dragon roar swept out, it instantly enveloped the 2 people. Dragon Heart Decree. When the domain created by the dark sky snow dragon roar enveloped the 2 people, Long Yu directly used his killer move. The other party was still hundreds of feet away from Long Yu, but Long Yu's Dragon Heart Decree blasted through the air. As a dragon's roar rang out, the expression of the fat man holding the whip immediately froze. He felt an extremely strange power that made him feel extremely uncomfortable. Explode. Long Yu's cold voice rang out. Instantly, the fat man's heart felt like it was about to explode. Unfortunately, the fat man was not so easily killed. Feeling the immense power of Long Yu's Dragonheart Decree, Fatty's eyes popped out. Following that, his entire body suddenly turned into a human-shaped rock. His heart, blood vessels, and everything else had actually turned into stone. Petrification to protect yourself? Not bad. Seeing this, Long Yu no longer paid attention to the fat man. Instead, he focused his attention on the skinny man who was closer to him. Breaking through the layers of obstacles, the skinny man swung the long whip in his hand at Long Yu. With a dragon's roar, the whip turned into the shadow of a long dragon, intending to blast Long Yu into pieces. Silver Prism Lock block. Primordial Shadow Kill. Long Yu raised his hand and threw out the high-ranked Earth-ranked combat weapon he had just obtained, using it to block his opponent's dragon whip. As for Long Yu himself, he instantly burst out with unparalleled speed. With the nether dragon blade in his hand, he instantly broke through the dragon whip and approached the skinny man, executing the primordial shadow kill. If the primordial shadow kill was the foundation of the primordial shadow kill, then the assassination method was the foundation of the foundation. Chapter 479. Ancient Desolation Shadow Kill was an authentic Great Desolate level martial skill. Even though it was performed by Long Yu, who was in the human tribulation realm, it still made the skinny man feel a strong sense of threat. Not good. The skinny man's expression changed slightly. He hooked the long whip in his hand, and the dragon-shaped whip immediately turned around and coiled towards the pitch-black blade that Long Yu had transformed into. Break! Long Yu did not give up. He continued to move forward with an indestructible will. In the next moment, the dragon-shaped whip directly wrapped around his body, and a terrifying power suddenly burst out. However, Long Yu had transformed into a pitch-black blade, and directly cut the long whip combat soldier in half. Although he had suffered a lot of injuries, he was not seriously injured with the defense of the silver prism lock. Moreover, his body had been tempered by the law of dark thunder, and he had also comprehended the self-healing divine rune. Such a small injury was nothing to him. However, the long whip combat soldier was a mid-ranked Earth-level combat weapon, and it was actually cut in half by the pitch-black blade that Long Yu had transformed into. The skinny man almost couldn't react to this scene. Even if he was a heavenly tribulation realm expert, he could not destroy a mid-ranked Earth-level combat weapon with just one move. However, this human tribulation realm brat in front of him had actually destroyed his long whip with just one move. The destructive power was simply too terrifying. Not only that, the pitch-black blade that Long Yu had transformed into did not stop after cutting the long whip. It continued to pounce towards the skinny man, like a pitch-black meteor in the dark night sky. Royal stone brick. The skinny man clenched his teeth, and directly condensed a huge stone in front of him, and smashed it towards Long Yu. This was an Earth-level martial skill, and it was also the main martial skill that the skinny man used for defense. If even this move could not stop Long Yu, bang! The imperial stone brick that he had formed was directly shattered by the pitch-black blade that Long Yu had transformed into. However, this time, it had stopped Long Yu's momentum from continuing forward. In the end, it was still an Earth-rank defensive martial technique. After Long Yu shattered the imperial stone brick, the aura of the ancient desolate shadow kill disappeared without a trace. As expected of a heavenly tribulation realm martial cultivator, he has quite a few tricks up his sleeves. It won't be as easy to deal with him as I imagined. Long Yu stopped and looked to the side. He saw that Fatty, who had turned into a stone, was gradually unraveling, as if he wanted to return to his original form. When Long Yu saw this, he naturally wouldn't let them have their way. Dark Dragon 9 explosions gained the upper hand. A dragon's roar exploded near the Fatty's heart. At this moment, the Fatty's entire body trembled, and he coughed out a mouthful of blood. The Fatty didn't expect that during the time he had been petrified, Long Yu's shadow hadn't been dealt with. Not only was it not dealt with, but it could also attack him when he had just woken up. His heart was already extremely weak from the Dragon Heart Edict, and he had relied on the power of the divine script that had petrified him to escape death. However, now, Long Yu's Dark Dragon 9 explosions, this great desolate level martial technique, was unleashed again. Although it was only the first explosion, its power wasn't something that his weak heart could withstand, and it immediately exploded. The Fatty's eyeballs bulged and the blood in his body surged. "Even if I die, I won't let you have it easy." The Fatty was on the verge of death, and his mind was close to going crazy. He immediately gathered all the power in his body, and it exploded in all directions. Damn it, it's self-destruction. The ones closest to him were Long Yu and the skinny man with the broken whip. When the two of them saw this, they immediately retreated. Long Yu used Dragon Sparrow Instant Flash and retreated hundreds of feet away. As for the skinny man, he looked at the whip in the Fatty's hand with some pity. Then, he also used his movement technique and retreated hundreds of feet away. Immediately after, the power of the laws of heaven and earth, the power of the divine script that the Fatty had comprehended all gathered together and exploded. The Fatty's heart had been destroyed by Long Yu's Dark Dragon 9 explosions. Even if he didn't want to die, he would still die. In his mind, he might as well let out one last light before he died. Perhaps he could drag one or two down with him. Since he was going to die anyway, what was the point of thinking so much? The fatty's body suddenly exploded, and all kinds of power roared out. This time, it was impossible for Huoyuanbai not to notice. Idiot! When the skinny man who was hiding far away saw this, he immediately cursed in his heart. Wasn't this fatty exposing their whereabouts? If Huoyuanbai felt the power exploding here, he definitely wouldn't just stand by and watch. At that time, their mission would be in vain. Perish! Just as the fatty self-destructed, Long Yu's primordial shadow, which had been surrounded by the four people, finally exploded with all its strength and was completely shattered by the man with butterfly wings wielding a long sword. However, before the primordial shadow was destroyed, it also used all kinds of techniques to cause trouble for the four people. The Imperial Water Screen, Imperial Water Whirlpool, Heavenly Mandate Divine Light, Dark Dragon 9 Explosions, Dragon Sparrow Dance, and other martial techniques were all used by the primordial shadow. Reincarnation Barrier, Underworld Barrier, and various other defensive techniques were used, which was why it could last for so long. Not only that, under the control of Long Yu, the primordial shadow directly used the power of the Siphon Divine Script to cripple Qing Yi's brother. An afterimage withstood the attacks of the four people and even seriously injured one of them. It had to be said that the primordial shadow was powerful and definitely lived up to its name as a desolate-level martial technique. Let's finish this quickly. Huoyuanbai is about to find us. Seeing that the fatty had chosen to self-destruct, the power of his self-destruction had reached the level of the secret realm of divinity. The expression of the man with butterfly wings changed. He spun the long sword in his hand, and the tip of the sword moved swiftly, condensing 9 sword lights in a row, and swept towards Long Yu, who was thousands of feet away. Wind Butterfly Sword. The strange man snorted coldly. The 9 sword lights followed the night wind and instantly appeared in front of Long Yu. Silver Prism Lock. Long Yu's expression changed slightly upon seeing this. He hadn't expected his opponent's sword light to arrive so quickly. One had to realize that there was a distance of 10,000 feet between them. Even the Dragon Sparrow instant teleportation couldn't cover such a long distance in an instant. However, since there was only one person attacking, Long Yu was able to block it. Under the activation of his profound chi, the silver prism lock flickered with a layer of silver light barrier, directly blocking the opponent's first bright sword light. Moreover, it didn't shatter. After all, it was a high Earth-level defensive weapon, and it was personally refined by Huoyuanbai. If it couldn't even block the martial skill of a heavenly tribulation expert, then it was too weak. However, in the next moment, that resplendent sword light actually exploded. The power of the sword chi actually transformed into a series of winged butterflies. They were all spiritual bodies, and they passed through the light barrier of the silver edge lock, continuing to pounce towards Long Yu. Although he didn't know how powerful these winged butterflies were, Long Yu naturally wouldn't let them get close to his body. Nether Dragon 9 Explosions. Long Yu shouted, and the netherworld chi exploded in front of him, instantly enveloping all the winged butterflies. Then, more and more winged butterflies flew out as the 9 sword lights were blocked, and all of them were swept into the netherworld chi. The netherworld chi seemed to be able to restrain these winged butterflies' spirit. With a dragon's roar, all the winged butterflies disappeared without a trace. However, at this time, the man with butterfly wings and the other 4 people also rushed towards Long Yu, and the distance between them was shortened by a lot in the blink of an eye. After the fatty self-detonated, there were only 5 of them left. However, they still had no doubt that they could kill Long Yu. If they couldn't even kill a human tribulation expert with so many heavenly tribulation experts, wouldn't they become the laughingstock of others? As the leader of this group, Feng Di didn't need to continue staying in Azura County. Netherworld Blood Shadow. Long Yu raised his hand and threw out the invisible weapon. His target was Qing Yi's brother, who was seriously injured by Long Yu's afterimages. The netherworld blood shadow was useless against ordinary heavenly tribulation experts. They could easily disperse it with a burst of aura. However, to Qing Yi's brother, who was seriously injured, it was extremely disgusting. The netherworld blood shadow was covering his body and trying to absorb his blood, causing him great pain. It was already impressive for him to be able to unleash 1/10 of the strength of a heavenly tribulation expert. Most importantly, the netherworld blood shadow was invisible. Since the guy was surrounded by the netherworld blood shadow, the others couldn't do anything to help him. "Get to the side, don't die." The strange-looking man, Feng Di, harumphed coldly and waved his sword. Once again, a sword ray was formed and shot towards Long Yu. Hidden divine rune. Dragon Sparrow's shadow explode. Long Yu's lips curled into a smile when he saw the four of them attacking him from the same direction. He activated the hidden divine rune, and his figure instantly disappeared from their sight. At the same time, he merged with the black dragon sparrow's shadow and unleashed an incredible speed. He didn't run away, but approached his opponents instead. Not long after, he arrived next to the unlucky guy who was entangled by the netherworld blood shadow. "Wait for me to execute the hidden divine rune." Seeing Long Yu execute the hidden divine rune, the eyes of one of the martial cultivators in a white robe lit up. He finally had a chance to put his skills to good use. He raised his hand and his eyes emitted a golden light. It was like a scorching sun, illuminating the entire space in front of him. Everything that was hiding in the darkness was exposed. Of course, this included Long Yu, who had executed the hidden divine rune. However, the martial cultivator in a white robe subconsciously thought that Long Yu had executed the hidden divine rune to escape. Therefore, he was searching in the direction that Long Yu had escaped to. To his surprise, Long Yu had gone behind them and arrived in front of Qing Yi's brother, who was entangled by the netherworld blood shadow. When the martial cultivator in a white robe reacted, he immediately turned around and illuminated Long Yu. However, it was too late. The netherworld dragon blade in Long Yu's hand had already pierced into Qing Yi's chest. Chapter 480. Seeing Long Yu kill 2 people in a row, the remaining 4 people's expressions changed drastically. They were all heavenly tribulation realm experts. When they first came to intercept Long Yu, a human tribulation realm martial cultivator, they didn't take him seriously at all. It was only because Deputy General Zhou Li offered a higher price that they reluctantly came along. But now they finally knew that Zhou Li was right. This kid was only in the human tribulation realm, but he had the terrifying strength to kill a heavenly tribulation realm expert. 6 of them had come, but one of them had self-detonated, and another one had been killed by Long Yu. Could they really deal with this kid? Moreover, the commotion caused by the fatty's self-detonation would definitely attract Hu Yuanbai's reinforcements. When that happened, it would be even more impossible for them to kill Long Yu. "Concentrate your firepower and kill him." The strange man, Feng Di's face darkened. He waved the longsword in his hand and suddenly, several sword chi surged out and swept toward Long Yu. Every single one of these streaks of sword chi had a terrifying destructive power. Even if Long Yu was hit by just one of them, he would at least be seriously injured, even if he had the thunderstorm tyrant body and the self-healing divine runes. Silver Prism Lock. Long Yu raised his hand and threw out the silver prism lock. He did not use his Xian Qi to activate it, but directly used it to block one of the sword Qi light beams. Immediately after, Long Yu moved, and the dragon sparrow wings appeared on his back. He used the dragon sparrow instant teleportation to directly dodge the sword Qi. Originally, several streams of sword Qi had sealed off all of Long Yu's escape routes, but after being blocked by the silver prism lock and defeating one of the sword Qi, Long Yu ran out from that direction. "Dragon Sparrow Shadow Fuse!" shouted Long Yu. Suddenly, a pitch-black dragon sparrow appeared behind him and fused with his body, instantly increasing his speed. Even a heavenly tribulation realm expert couldn't catch up to him. He was heading in the direction of Huiyuanbai's camp. After the previous battle, he roughly understood the limits of his combat power. Without releasing the ancient dragon bone tower, he could at most deal with 3 to 4 heavenly tribulation realm experts. If more people came, he wouldn't be able to deal with them. After all, the martial techniques he had learned couldn't be used casually, such as ancient primordial shadow kill and 9 dark dragon explosions. The execution of every martial skill required profound energy to flow through different meridians in the body. For example, after executing the primordial shadow kill once, if he wanted to execute it again, he would have to wait for that meridian's rhythm to calm down. Otherwise, if he used forcefully, it would easily cause his meridians to explode. Unless it was absolutely necessary, Long Yu would naturally not use the same martial technique so quickly. After recognizing his own strength, Long Yu knew it was time to shake off the remaining 4 pursuers. Of course, the easiest way was to fly in the direction of Huiyuanbai's camp. Seeing the direction in which Long Yu was flying, and his speed was even faster than theirs, Feng Di and the other 3's expressions changed slightly. "What should we do, Boss Feng Di? Should we chase after them?" The white-robed martial cultivator's face darkened as he watched Long Yu escape. "No, let's retreat. This kid is hard to deal with, and he's Huiyuanbai's man. It wouldn't be good if we were caught by Huiyuanbai's men." Feng Di narrowed his eyes. He knew his own strength. He could deal with ordinary celestial being realm martial cultivators, but if he encountered Huiyuanbai, even if it was Huiyuanbai's divine ability realm subordinates, they would be nothing but food. The difference between the heavenly being realm and the divine ability realm was too great. After making the decision, the 4 of them immediately hid in the dense forest below the mountain range and spread out to avoid being caught by the people sent by Huiyuanbai. Seeing this, Long Yu did not let his guard down. Who knew if these people were pretending to retreat, but were actually lying in ambush in the forest below, or in the forest ahead to surround him? If they were to meet again in the future, Long Yu would no longer be afraid of these 4 people. But the key was that he did not know if these 4 people had other accomplices. Long Yu continued flying in the direction of Huiyuanbai's camp. As he flew, he suddenly felt his heart heat up. It was as if there were a few figures flying towards him from all directions, about to surround and kill him. This feeling caused Long Yu's mind to tense up once again, and he became extremely vigilant. Kill! Turning around, Long Yu saw that there was actually a martial cultivator who had stealthily snuck up behind him, wanting to launch a sneak attack on him. Without hesitation, he shouted and threw a punch at the person. The 3rd explosion of the Dark Dragon 9 explosions swept out. Spirit blast! The roar of a dragon echoed out, causing that martial cultivator to be blasted backwards. This martial cultivator seemed to be at the heavenly tribulation realm, yet he wasn't. This caused Long Yu to furrow his brows. Just as Long Yu was feeling puzzled, he felt many martial cultivators appear in the surroundings again, and it seemed like they wanted to kill him at the same time. Kill! Long Yu's heart skipped a beat. He could not see the faces of the martial cultivators in front of him, and he could not even see their martial cultivation realms. Something was wrong. In the next moment, he closed his eyes and paid no attention to the martial cultivators who were surrounding him. "I, Long Yu, am not a bloodthirsty person. This killing intent heart tribulation is too easy," Long Yu thought. It turned out that he soon realized that the martial cultivators that wanted to kill him were actually illusions derived from the heart tribulation. These illusions all came from his mind, from the re-emergence of his heart tribulation. Even if he ignored them, these illusions would not harm him in the slightest. On the contrary, if he was unable to discover anything amiss and wantonly slaughtered the martial cultivators in his imagination, he would sink deeper and deeper, and the killing intent on his body would become stronger and stronger. Once the killing intent reached a certain level, he would not be far away from chi deviation. Long Yu closed his eyes and took a few deep breaths. When he opened his eyes again, he realized that the night sky was quiet, and the martial cultivators that wanted to kill him were nowhere to be seen. As expected, it was just a heart tribulation. You're awake so soon? Not bad, not bad. A voice came from the side all of a sudden. Long Yu turned his head and saw little fatty Rin Pingfan. This wretched fellow, after assuming the position of Devil Nightmare Legion's guest military advisor, was rather enjoying it. However, of course, he did not dare to throw the matter of Long Yu to the back of his mind. After all, this was the main reason why Shu Chan had sent him here. In fact, when Long Yu left Hui Yuanbai's camp, Rin Pingfan had been following Long Yu all the way. When he saw that Long Yu could calmly deal with the encirclement of 6 Heavenly Tribulation Realm experts and kill 2 of them, he was even more impressed by Long Yu's talent in martial arts. No wonder the princess would invite such a person back. When Long Yu flew back and the heart tribulation started again, Ren Pingfan had already arrived and was guarding him. After a while, Long Yu actually woke up. Ren Pingfan could not help but sigh with emotion. Long Yu's willpower was really strong. When an ordinary person was in the human tribulation realm, they would tremble with fear when they encountered the upper, middle, and lower heart tribulations. They were afraid that they would fail the heart tribulations and stay in the human tribulation realm forever. Although it was not difficult to pass the heart tribulation, it would still take a lot of time for ordinary martial cultivators. Every time a heart tribulation appeared, it would take at least a few days to resist and eliminate it. However, after the heart tribulation appeared, it only took Long Yu a few moments to wake up. "Oh, it's you, Brother Fatty. Thank you very much." When Long Yu opened his eyes and saw Ren Pingfan, he immediately understood what was going on. He did not expect that his heart tribulation would be so dangerous that Ren Pingfan would approach him silently. If a heart tribulation appeared in a battle, wouldn't it be easy for him to suffer a tragedy? We're friends, no need to be so polite. Ren Pingfan smiled wretchedly and said, "You were besieged by Heaven's Tribulation Realm experts when you went out. It just happened to arouse your desire to kill, so the heart tribulation appeared. However, since you have passed it, it's fine. Don't worry too much about it. In the human tribulation realm, you need to go through 3 heart tribulations. Generally speaking, the heart tribulation will not appear during a battle. Most of the time, it will appear when you encounter a major accident or after your battle. Therefore, you don't have to worry that the heart tribulation will distract you during the battle. Of course, there are always exceptions. Little brother Long, you still have to be careful during this mission and prioritize your own safety. Otherwise, I won't be able to explain it to the princess when I return." Ren Pingfan directly said a series of words, causing Long Yu to listen and nod his head. "That's good. I was really afraid that the heart tribulation would appear during my battle." Long Yu let out a sigh of relief. "Since this journey isn't very safe, I'll send you off first. Little brother Lai Long, take out the Azura spirit boat. With the Azura spirit boat, no one will be able to catch up to us," Ren Pingfan said with a smile. Long Yu nodded. What he needed to do next was to go to the Ghost Evil County and earn some merit. Whether it was killing enemies or gathering information, he didn't have time to waste here. If he encountered a few more experts like the one just now, Long Yu wouldn't even be able to think about leaving. He would probably be intercepted and killed before he even saw the Ghost Evil County's cultivators. Long Yu took out the Azura spirit boat and gave it to Ren Pingfan to activate. The Azura spirit boat's flying speed was at least 3 to 4 times faster than a divine ability secret realm cultivator. Even if Hui Yuanbai wanted to catch up, it wouldn't be that easy. However, the real danger would come when they reached the border between Azura County and Ghost Evil County. Moreover, at that time, it would be inconvenient for Ren Pingfan to continue following Long Yu. Otherwise, if he really made some meritorious service, according to Long Yu and Ren Pingfan's martial arts cultivation, most of the credit would definitely belong to Ren Pingfan. Since he had chosen to take the risk, Long Yu would not shrink back. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.